loud. Even the public address system is deafening, and we are expecting this, in the words of Eddie Howe, to have a red hot atmosphere tonight. John Anderson back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. You've been here before. You know how difficult a place this is to come. It is a really special stadium, isn't it? And Marseille are, without doubt, not just one of the biggest clubs and most successful clubs in French football, but in Europe as well. They are one of the giant clubs on the continent.
Without a doubt, Razor, yeah, most definitely. You know, it's a difficult place to go. The last time we were there, it was hostile, to say the least. They make some racket, they make things very, very difficult for you. And of course, they had a very special player at the time as well, which didn't help the situation. But yeah, it's all about handling the atmosphere. It's all about handling the occasion. But look, at these are seasoned players. You know, the seasoned internationals. They've been there, they've done it. They know what it's about. I don't see them being overawed by the situation at all.
A reminder of Newcastle's team: Pope in goal, Livramento, Chow, Cher, Byrne, Bruno, Tanali, Willock, who is making his third start of the season in all competitions, Murphy, Barnes and Gordon, who has 4 in 4 in the Champions League, Anthony Gordon. And on the bench, Ramsdale, Thompson, the 2 goalkeepers, Hall, Botman, Joelinton, Elanga, Voltemada, Alex Murphy, Ramsey, Miley and Sam Alabi, who is 16, a midfielder from the academy. The Newcastle United team is being read out by the Marseille matchday announcer, and that is why the jeers and the whistles have started, and I'm sure they will continue until every syllable of every name has been delivered. I'm sitting at the front row of the media area, which is in the upper section of the main stand. It's like being in level 7 at St James's Park. You'll know it well, and although the stadium was redeveloped since Newcastle's last visit here, but there are, I don't know, maybe 30 rows behind me up to the top. It is high and it is steep, and I've got 3 rows of Marseille supporters right in front of me.
Oh, good luck with
that. Could be interesting.
Good luck with that one, Razor. I mean, look, we spoke before you obviously travelled. We spoke after the weekend's game against Manchester City. I mean, he was never ever. We said there'd be changes, didn't we? We said that he would rotate to a degree, but there was never going to be 6 or 7 changes that he was going to make, was there? You know, like he did at Leeds, like he did at Bournemouth. I think there's too much riding on this game for him to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, needs to be a team that's good enough to beat Marseille, who are not in a good position in the Champions League, 25th, so just below the playoff spots. 1 win from 4 matches, but second in French Ligue 1, and at home they will always be an incredibly difficult proposition for any team. So Newcastle with 3 changes tonight: Byrne, Willock and Gordon in for Hall, Joelinton and Voltemada, who, as we mentioned, are all on the bench. We're going to hear from Eddie Howe shortly. Quarter of an hour to go until kick-off here in the south of France on a clear and still night, and for 8:45 local time, pretty mild at 8 degrees Celsius. It's a beautiful evening for the time of year, late November. We've already touched on it. I want to go back to the last meeting between Newcastle United and Marseille, because this is the 3rd time the clubs have come up against each other. The previous 2 were in the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup in 2003-2004. It was 0-0 at St James's Park in the first leg, and then they came to France for the second leg without some key players, including Jonathan Woodgate, who didn't start that night, and it was a player who would go on to become a legend at Chelsea and in the Premier League, and one of the greatest strikers in the game, who was Newcastle United's undoing on that occasion, and they missed out on the chance to go for UEFA Cup glory under Sir Bobby Robson. Let's go back 21 years now and relive those goals, as painful as they were for Newcastle United to concede in the Stade Velodrome against Marseille.
Bernard looks to get the cross in, does so, headed clear by Hendani, the first man, and now they've got a break on Merriam to play in Drogba. Drogba running with Aaron Hughes. Drogba still going. Drogba has scored. They have a chance with a free kick. It's midway between penalty box and right-hand touchline, and it's dead level with the 6-yard box, and it'll be delivered by Battler's flat. Drogba has scored. Didier Drogba has sent the Stade Velodrome into hysteria. Oh la la, Marseille, they are through to the final of the UEFA Cup. Black and white hearts are broken in the Stade Velodrome.
The great Mick Lowe's commentating on Marseille 2, Newcastle United 0. They actually lost the final to Rafa Benitez's Valencia that season, and Newcastle were only in the UEFA Cup because they lost in the Champions League qualification round on penalties to Partizan Belgrade. They almost went all the way, but it was just too much for them that night in every respect, and it was all about Drogba, wasn't it?
Oh, he was unplayable that night. He was absolutely outstanding. I remember talking to Mick afterwards and saying we should go and get him. we should
Shearer.
We should get him. He's some player. And obviously he ended up at Chelsea, and we all know what happened when he went to Chelsea and the goals that he scored and the stuff that he won at Chelsea. But he was, that night he was exceptional. He was big, strong, quick. He had everything, and of course we've seen all of that again in the Premier League many a time when he played for Chelsea.
Didn't end up in black and white.
No,
ended up in the blue of Chelsea.
Unfortunately,
what a player, and part of that Marseille side that knocked Newcastle United out at the semi-final stage 21 years ago. Different competitions though, UEFA Cup and Champions League tonight, and Marseille, managed by the former Brighton boss Roberto De Zerbi, the Italian, who had almost 2 years in the Premier League, joined Marseille last summer and brought them into the Champions League this season. They've also made 3 changes. Their goalkeeper and 2 midfielders have come in. Marseille with Geronimo Rulli, an Argentinian international, in goal. Then it looks like a 3-5-2 with Benjamin Pavard, who's on loan from Inter Milan, the French international. Leonardo Balerdi, another Argentinian international, linked to Newcastle in the summer, Balerdi, before they signed Malik Chow. And Emerson, the former West Ham and Chelsea defender, normally a left back, but likely to play as the left-sided centre-half in a 3. Then on the right-hand side, Timothy Weah, the American international who's on loan from Juventus. Another loanee, Arthur Vermeeren, who is a Belgian international with Marseille temporarily from RB Leipzig. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who had 9 years in the Premier League with Tottenham Hotspur and then Southampton. He comes into the team along with the 17-year-old Daryl Bacola, an academy midfielder who is making his first start for Marseille. And then on the left, the Brazilian, uncapped at international level, but the forward who has got 3 Champions League goals this season, Igor Paixão. And then the front 2, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, 36 years of age, 6 goals this season, and Mason Greenwood. Now this is Mason Greenwood's first match against an English club since leaving Manchester United in September 2023, and the timeline of events there: he was arrested in January 2022 following allegations surrounding material that was published online. Charges against Mason Greenwood over attempted rape and assault were dropped in February 2023, and about 6 months later he left Manchester United, went to Getafe in Spain on loan, and joined Marseille last summer. He has scored 11 goals for them this season. Marseille's bench Geoffrey Delange and Jelle van Neck are the two goalkeepers. The former Manchester City and Burnley defender CJ Egan-Riley, Ulises Garcia, England international midfielder Angel Gomez, midfielder Matt O'Reilly, who's on loan from Brighton and played against Newcastle last season, Jeffrey Kondogbia, Bilal Nadir, Robinho Vaz and Tajuddin Madi. They are the substitutes for Marseille tonight. There's some familiar names in the team, and though Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at 36, been at some big clubs, and he's still scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean, he scored again on Friday night, didn't he? I mean, they had a good win on Friday night. They won 5-1. Greenwood got a couple as well. You know, you look down that side. They've got good players. You know, they're doing well in their own the domestic league. There's no doubt about that. But they found life very difficult in the Champions League, to be quite honest, Razor. You know, they've only won the one game. You know, Højbjerg, everybody knows about. Pavard, ex-Bayern Munich, French international. You know, quality player as well. Aubameyang, is he past his best? You would hope so, but they found life difficult in the Champions League, even though domestically things are going well for them.
Well, Roberto De Zerbi, the Marseille manager, is known for possession football, patient build-up, and then they get you, or that's the plan at least. But with only one win, 3 defeats from 4 Champions League matches, does Newcastle's Eddie Howe expect De Zerbi to change his tactical approach tonight in pursuit of a crucial victory?
I think with Roberto's style, I don't necessarily think that they will change or look to get the ball forward quicker than they normally do. I think they have their way, and their way is very effective. You see the goals they've scored this calendar year is hugely impressive. So, no, I think they will be themselves, but that doesn't mean that they won't potentially attack us early in the game. We need to make sure we're ready from minute 1 to be there psychologically, be there defensively. As I say, as we were against, for me, one of the best teams in world football against Manchester City, that was a great game for us to come through in such a positive way. But we need to use that game. It can't be in isolation, and we need to perform with the same mentality that we did.
Newcastle away from home this season, Ando, in the Premier League, well, it's 3 points out of a possible 18. Their only win away from Tyneside was in Belgium against Union Saint-Gilloise, but that was very different to what they'll experience and face tonight in pretty much every respect. So to actually deliver away from home, it's going to take something that they haven't been able to produce this season, but they probably haven't been tested away from home like they will be tonight, because they haven't played yet any of, well, with respect to Aston Villa, and that's always difficult, especially for Newcastle. They don't have the greatest record at Villa Park in recent years. They haven't played any of the Premier League's regular elite clubs away from home yet, so they're going to have to get to a different level on their travels tonight, aren't they, to get at least a point.
Yeah, look, I think everybody would accept that the performances away from home haven't been great. Now, if we perform in a similar manner tonight, we're not going to get anything out of it. You know, the performance tonight has got to be so much better than what we've seen at Brentford, what we've seen at West Ham, what we've seen at Brighton, what we've seen at Bournemouth, you know, what we've seen at Leeds. It's got to be an awful lot better than that. And if that performance level away from home doesn't rise, we're not going to get anything out of this game.
Around 5 minutes to go until kick-off in Newcastle's 5th Champions League match in the league phase out of 8. Eddie Howe was expecting the Stade Velodrome to be red hot, as he put it tonight, and Howe and his players ready to show what they can do in one of the toughest environments.
You want to play in the best atmospheres, whether that's for you or against you. I think both can be really amazing to experience. So looking forward to that challenge, and I know the players feel the same way, and we were well aware when the draw was made this would be a special game.
And the players line up in the tunnel with the referee Maurizio Mariani from Italy standing next to Captain Bruno and Captain Valeri, and ready to make their way onto the pitch with the Champions League branding and club crests either side of the halfway line. And so used to the war flags displays at St James's Park, the Marseille supporters have done their bit with light blue and white surfer banners and tifo displays at either end of the ground. And here we go on BBC Radio Newcastle, live at Stade Velodrome. Champions League really does take you to some of the biggest and best clubs on the continent, and Olympique de Marseille are very much that. And the spectacular Stade Velodrome is the perfect place for a match of this magnitude at the top level of European football. And Newcastle United looking for what would be unprecedented in Champions League terms for them. 4 wins in a row if they get the victory tonight. They're also on their longest run of clean sheets in the Champions League, having not conceded in their last 3 in Belgium, and then the 2 home wins, Benfica and Athletic Club. Let's recap the 2 starting 11s. Marseille, Geronimo Rulli in goal, Benjamin Pavard, Leonardo Balerdi and Emerson at the back, Timothy Weah, Arthur Vermeeren, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Daryl Bacola and Igor Paixão, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Mason Greenwood. And Newcastle United with their 3 changes: Pope in goal, Livramento, Chow, Cher, Byrne, Bruno, Tonali, Willock, Murphy, Barnes and Gordon. Bruno, Byrne, Pope and Gordon are the 4 who've started all of Newcastle's games in the Champions League so far, all 5 of them including tonight. On the bench for the Magpies, Ramsdale, Thompson, Hall, Botman, Joelinton, Elanga, Baltamada, Alex Murphy, Ramsey, Miley and 16-year-old Alabi. They are in their 3rd kit tonight, which is the navy and orange, and Marseille wearing predominantly white with a bit of light blue trim. The referee, Mr. Mariani, is also in light blue with black shorts and blue socks. All of the officials tonight are Italian. Pope wearing yellow, and it is like a burnt orange colour for Marseille goalkeeper Rulli, and it will be the French side to kick us underway. Newcastle players got together in the middle of their half and now lining up ready to wait for Marseille to get the match started. Eddie Howe's men will be shooting towards the goal to the right hand side in the first half. Live here on BBC Radio Newcastle in the Champions League. And we're underway. Ball is played back to Balerdi, and it's a diagonal pass out to this near side where Jacob Murphy sees it behind. And I think what they've done, Ando, and I'm sure Newcastle would never want to misinform UEFA, who produced a tactical team sheet with a formation. Livramento starting on the left.
Yeah.
And this could well be a back five, couldn't it, with Murphy as the other wing back?
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? That's the way it seems to be. Livramento playing at left wing back. Bourne, Cher and Chow. Murphy as a right wing back. So, will they get fined for that, Razor?
Marseille have it back with their goalkeeper. Roulli lifts it clear. A header from Fabian Cher. And then another header from Cher. Harvey Barnes with a chance to go on a run up the left wing, and it's a good one. And the cross towards Gordon near side. It's put behind by a defender, and corner kick is awarded. Newcastle with the first attack of the match after just over a minute in Marseille. It was Barnes who made the progress and looked for Gordon near side of the box. And now Fabian Cher, Dan Burn and Malik Chow head into the penalty area, but Marseille have left two up, so Newcastle have brought Murphy and Livramento back. They await the corner kick, but not before the referee intervenes. Dan Burn is being spoken to. It's a clipped corner kick, looking for Barnes, right side of the area, heads it back across the box, on the chest, and then a blocked shot, which was taken by Bruno. Marseille get it clear into Newcastle's half. Livramento covering, passes it back to Nick Pope, who has a touch at the edge of the area and lifts a long ball clear deep into Marseille territory. Gordon trying to run in behind. It's headed by Emerson, and then it's won by United through Joe Willock, who's taken down. And there's a yellow card out early and quickly from the referee, and a caution shown to the Marseille captain Leonardo Balerdi. Joe Willock with a burst of speed. His touch, Ando, was taking him off the pitch and behind. I don't know if he would have got there, but he was chopped down. Yeah. Willock,
yeah,
right
he's just
under the nose
him
of the assistant referee.
Yeah, I mean, he's just taken him out. Whether he was going to get it or not doesn't make any difference, but he's just cleaned the boy out. It's most definitely a yellow card, isn't it? Especially in European competitions.
Takes you back to the Phil Foden, Fabian Cher incident on Saturday, doesn't it? At St James's Park.
I don't remember which one you're on about.
After the ball had been played, then the contact came in. Anyway, free kick. It's been a bright start by Newcastle inside 4 minutes. Tanali with it to the back of the box. Chow's header off the line. Did it cross the line? No. And then on the follow-up, it's put wide by Willock. Seemed to be Højbjerg who got it clear. Chow looping header over the top of the goalkeeper, and it needed to be nodded away by a Marseille defender to keep it at 0-0.
Oh, it's a real bright start. It's a great header off the line. Højbjerg, I think it was. Chow climbs really well. Good defensive header. Willock following up, just volleys wide. But it's been a really bright, lively start to the game.
Here come Marseille, but they've passed it out of play on the far side of the pitch, and Dan Burn leaves the throw to Tino Livramento. And it is a 5 at the back for Newcastle. Here's Barnes turning away from a couple of white shirts, but then a third player for Marseille behind them recovers possession. And Balerdi back to goalkeeper Roulli on the edge of the penalty area with luminous yellow boots and gloves. Puts his foot on the ball, plays it short, then gets it back again from Højbjerg. Now up the line, but Dan Burn intercepts. Here's Bruno, protects the ball and passes it to Chow, who's in a midfield position here. Willock right corner of the penalty area. Murphy went beyond. Willock didn't play the cross, then slips it in for Tonali, no offside, looking for Gordon, and Harvey Barnes has scored again. Harvey Barnes' run of goals continues, and Newcastle take the lead in the south of France. A bright start rewarded with a goal. More good play in attack up this near right hand side, and it reached Barnes, who drove it into the bottom corner with his left foot. Newcastle United, they are really enjoying themselves in the Champions League this season. They lead Marseille by a goal to nil in the 6th minute.
No more than the start deserves, to be quite honest. They've totally dominated, got Marseille on the back foot. It's great play down this right side. Tonali just whips the ball in, takes a flick off Gordon. If you wanted to fault anybody in there, it's Barnes, isn't it? It's a great finish with his left foot, straight across the goalkeeper into the corner of the net.
You may have seen it back, Ando. I haven't yet. No sense of offside?
Don't think so, Razor. Haven't seen it again yet.
Well, they are preparing to kick off.
No, I don't think he was. I mean, they will check it, but I don't think Tonali's not offside.
Goal stands. Newcastle lead 1-0, and Harvey Barnes, 7 goals this season, 2 at the weekend. In fine form. First time finish, left-footed, past Rouley, and having had one cleared off the line, they've now put a chance away. And it hasn't stunned the Stade Velodrome into silence, as we can hear the Marseille blue and white flags are flying behind the goal to the right, the one that Newcastle scored in, but it will have shocked the home supporters. And I mentioned I've got 3 rows of Marseille fans right in front of me. They all turned and stared at me when Barnes scored. So yes, if you lose me for a minute, then it might well be something to do with the fans who are right in front of me. The other thing that you get in European games is that supporters are drinking alcohol, and they're also smoking, which is not allowed in English grounds. So a very different match day feel and atmosphere and vibe, and the aromas of European football different to the Premier League. Marseille with an attack on the near side and a cross onto the roof of the net. That came in from Igor Paschal, who did well to win the ball from Jacob Murphy, and the cross took a deflection, so it's a corner kick for Marseille on the near left hand side. 1-0 to Newcastle United after 9 minutes.
Yeah, first time we've seen them in our half of the pitch. He's done well, got clear. Chow gets across, doesn't he? Good defending again.
Played short, and then a left-footed cross, which is deflected again by Newcastle, who then head away the second ball. Marseille in the middle of the United half, shooting towards the left. And United, every player behind the ball, which is at the feet of Timothy Weah, who played at right full-back in their win over Nice 5-1 on Friday night. Wing back today. It's a diagonal ball to the right wing. Only one in the middle, and Fabian Schär gets there just before the cross could reach Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he's headed it behind for another Marseille corner. But it's still 1-0 to Newcastle United through the Harvey Barnes goal.
Yeah, good defending again. Got himself into a good area. Seen the delivery of the cross. Taking no chances. Sticks it behind. Another corner kick.
A left-footed corner kick delivery. Referee at the back of the penalty area, keeping a close eye on things. It's a flat corner. It's come off Murphy and gone up. Then they get it away, Newcastle, towards the centre circle. Headed back in by Marseille, and Nick Pope comes. Gave Dan Burn a shout at the edge of the area, and a bouncing ball that was slowing down. Pope got out there and gathered, and now it's played out into midfield to Bruno. Under pressure, he releases the pass to Burn. They go back to Schär, and now Malik Chow to Sandro Tonali, and back to Chow, first time, 10 yards behind the halfway line. Still got possession, United in their half of the field. Murphy on halfway, gets it. Tries to play it over the top for Willock. Lifted clear there by Balerdi. And back with Chow. And now Cher, who is the middle of the three Newcastle centre halves tonight. Murphy wide on the near touchline. Chow holds off a couple of players and finds Murphy. Tried to slip one in behind for Gordon. It's cut out. And the home side have it back on the edge of their penalty area. And inside into the box to the goalkeeper, who has a couple of touches and plays it out to the right. Keeping the ball on the floor, trying to move their way up the pitch, Marseille. It's the way that Roberto De Zerbi had Brighton playing a few years ago, isn't it? The slow and patient passing, goalkeeper heavily involved, trying to beat the press. And Højbjerg now over halfway to Weah, out on the right, but just inside the Newcastle half. Infield it comes to Bacola, the 17-year-old on his full debut. And Igor Paschal wants it from Emerson, doesn't get it. It's played to the Belgian international Vermeeren, blonde-haired midfielder. And now Weah right wing, Aubameyang in the centre, Greenwood edge of the box for Marseille. Newcastle without it, but keeping their shape, 5-4-1. And Jacob Murphy here cuts out a ball around the corner and clears. And Vermeeren turns away from Gordon. It's Marseille 0, Newcastle 1 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Joe Willock winning it back and doing well to find Tonali. And Dan Burn finding himself a right-sided centre-back. Newcastle have now lost it. Bruno makes an interception, but it comes back to Marseille next to the centre circle. We're in the 13th minute. It's brought forwards by Pavard. Greenwood in possession. And it's Marseille who are enjoying a lot of the ball at the moment. Newcastle continuing to concentrate. Still only one player in the box, which is Aubameyang now. And Bacola gets into the middle, but the cross doesn't come in. They go from right to left over midfield. Højbjerg looking to find a way through. It's a square ball. Pavard on to Weah, taking on Livramento, going on the outside. Livramento sticking to the task. In comes the cross. It's Cher's header. It's brought down by Højbjerg, but Newcastle block his route to goal. He passes it wide right to Weah, and Livramento makes an attempted block on the cross, and the flag's gone up for offside, I think. Yeah, free kick for Newcastle. Livramento put it behind anyway. Offside the decision, Newcastle free kick, and they are leading through Harvey Barnes' goal on 6 minutes against Marseille in France, here on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Yeah, great start to the game. I mean, deservedly ahead. Started really, really brightly. Marseille have had plenty of the ball, passing it to death. Don't play it at quick tempo either, or do they? It's very methodical the way that they play, waiting for gaps to open up, but defensively so far we've looked really, really solid.
The live Champions League table, which is available on the BBC Sport website and app, Newcastle have moved up in the standings to 4th, behind Inter Milan, Arsenal and Bayern Munich. Here's a ball over the top. Joe Willock might be in, and there was a bit of contact from the defender, but no appeals for Willock. Edge of the box as goalkeeper Geronimo Rulli comes and gathers. Searching ball in behind, and Willock in a central position was almost allowed to bring it down. Marseille did just enough. Jacob Murphy's giving it away on the near side, and then Bruno intercepts the pass from Igor Paschal. United knock it up towards Gordon. Balerdi gets there first. Daryl Bacola now. inside to Vermeeren. Benjamin Pavard. Newcastle have looked really dangerous when they've gone forwards, but certainly since the goal, apart from that Willock moment, it's been like this. Marseille playing a lot of football and much of it in the attacking third from their perspective, so Newcastle within 25-30 yards of their goal. Where a couple of step overs, then a ball inside to Vermeeren, and Aubameyang helping it on, but Pope picks it up. Where wasn't getting the ball clipped in behind. The United goalkeeper was watching, read the situation, and rolls it out underarm to Malik Chow, who comes up to halfway. Willock's picked up a good position but couldn't control the ball. Gordon's pinched it back, and Chow finds Murphy. Willock to Tonali, inside to Bruno. They've moved it well here. Bruno looks to Barnes. Livramento goes beyond. Harvey Barnes has got one already, but didn't get the opportunity to shoot for his and Newcastle's second. It's blocked at the edge of the area, and now Sandro Tonali adjudged to have fouled Daryl Bacola in the middle of the park. Free kick given, but taken too quickly for the liking of the referee, so Marseille have to do it again. 1-0 to Newcastle United.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a theme about it, hasn't it? Marseille having plenty of the ball, passing to the death, but haven't really got in behind us, Razor. It's all being played in front, isn't it? You know, they're coming across the pitch, they're going from right to left, left to right, and they're finding no gaps so far.
There's a ball
defensively,
over the top.
Razor, defensively we've looked rock solid.
And that was headed away by Fabian Schär in the middle for Newcastle, but Marseille again, and like John Anderson says, working it side to side, but haven't really got down into the corners, haven't been able to get the wide players too often one-on-one with the fullbacks, and haven't been able to get away from them. Harvey Barnes with the only goal. 18 minutes on the clock. Now here's a ball into the box, right hand side. Nick Pope makes a save at the near post. An effort there that was fairly comfortable for him. Mason Greenwood had the shot. In fact, it was Aubameyang actually here at Marseille with Igor Paixão cutting it back into the box. Vermeeren back out to the left wing. Home supporters getting a little bit frustrated, probably on that point, Ando, that they're not really getting in behind, and that they're being frustrated by Newcastle's shape. Here's a chance at the edge of the area, and Nick Pope forced into action again. That's another save from the Newcastle goalkeeper. It was Aubameyang who got the shot away right-footed from about 12 yards out, and Pope was off his line, quite way off his line, and pushed it behind for a corner kick on the Marseille right.
Yeah, it was too easy for Aubameyang, wasn't it? Had far too much space, needed to get tighter too.
Emerson, the left-sided defender, brought in from West Ham in the summer for about £1 million to take the corner, and in swinger, there's Dan Burn, and he heads it back out on that far side. So Emerson to deliver again for Marseille. And it's the same type of corner, and it's the same end result. Dan Burn with a header. This one goes out and not behind for a corner out into midfield. Gordon then makes a block on the far side, and it'll be a Marseille throw, but about 40 yards from the Newcastle goal, and they take the throw and go back to the halfway line. Bacola to Igor Paixão. Joe Willock gets a yellow card for a late challenge on the teenage midfielder for a push. Maurizio Mariani having booked the Marseille captain Leonardo Balerdi has now cautioned the Newcastle player.
That's really soft, isn't it? I mean, that wouldn't be a yellow card in the Premier League. The rules of football are supposed to be the same for everybody. I mean, he just puts his hand out, catches him in the chest, and the boy holds his face. I mean, it's a soft yellow card.
Marseille 0, Newcastle United 1. 30-yard free kick, but it's wide on the left, too wide out for the shot. Anthony Gordon gets behind the line of vanishing spray. And he's ahead of the penalty area. And there's a line of Newcastle blue shirts across the D, just on the edge of the box. And it's flicked away by United out to the far side. And they deflect the cross behind. Marseille corner, a sense of urgency about it. As Højbjerg grabs the ball and races out to the corner to take it. They play it short, back into midfield where, and then it's helped on to Makola. Right-footed cross caught by Nick Pope in the 6-yard box. Comfortable.
Yeah, it was
Pope,
poor,
big
wasn't
throw.
it?
Oh, what a throw from Pope. It's another huge Nick Pope throw. The Champions League special from the goalkeeper, and Anthony Gordon plays it into the area for Livramento. Lots of white Marseille shirts back, but Newcastle have it with Bruno edge of the box. He looks for Barnes. It's intercepted, and Marseille roared on by more than 60,000 supporters. Go forwards, charge forwards, but a crossfield pass from right to left goes out of play. And it's a Newcastle United throw on the near side. Nick Pope with another massive throw, and he got them right up the pitch. And then when Marseille had the chance to counter, that was a ball that brought a swift end to their attack, switching the play. And now Bruno for Tonali. Not got the chance to get in behind here on the right. Gordon in the centre. Tonali, it's cut out. It's come back to the Italian. Tonali shoots low and straight at the keeper. Centre of the goal. Sandro Tonali with a cross that was stopped by the defender. And then on the follow-up, an effort that lacked power and direction. And it was a comfortable save for Geronimo Rulli in the Marseille goal.
Yeah, the skipper hasn't had the greatest start, has he, Valeri? I mean, he found himself in the boot early on, and that's a real poor clearance. Could have got punished for that.
It's gone out of play near side. Igor Paschal. Marseille have had a couple of chances, forced Nick Pope into one or two saves, but so much of their game hasn't quite hit the mark so far. Newcastle lead 1-0 midway through the first half, but there is treatment being given here to Sandro Tonali in the middle of the French side's half of the pitch. Some of his teammates come across to the bench for a drink, and some words from assistant manager Jason Tindall. Tonali sitting down in the middle of the Marseille half. It's something, part of his left leg. I'm a long way from the action. I should have brought binoculars to try and work out who's who and what's going on at the back of this enormous stand in the Stade Velodrome, the second largest sporting venue in France, behind the Stade de France. It's known as the Orange Velodrome for sponsorship reasons. It's not orange, it's white, the white facade, and then inside the white seats. It's a spectacular stadium, it really is. It was a match venue that England used at Euro 2016. They played Russia here, also hosted a semi-final in that tournament. Newcastle, who have enjoyed their night here so far, in spite of the hostile atmosphere and the attempted intimidation from the home crowd, have taken the throw and they've won another higher up the right wing. Sandro Tonali's come back on after receiving treatment and he's able to take the throw, and hopefully whatever problem he was experiencing there, he'll be able to play on through. He's taken the throw and Bruno's miscontrolled and put it straight out. Marseille throw in the left back position. Emerson to Akola, cleared up into midfield. Chow trying to win it. Back to Balerdi and quickly on to Arthur Vermeeren in midfield. And now Weah, opportunity to have a go at Livramento. Bruno's there as well. Livramento blocks the cross. Weah plays it back to Pavard, and then a curling shot from 30 yards from Bacola, the youngster, which is well over the top of Nick Pope's goal. Marseille 0, Newcastle United 1.
Showing his inexperience, isn't he, the young boy? Trying to beat the keeper from that distance, always leaning back. Nowhere near the target.
It's Fabian Schär who takes the goal kick, and they're looking to get it into the right corner. Gordon chasing after it with Balerdi, who just dealt with the ball. And when I say just, I mean only just. Got it back to the keeper under real pressure from Anthony Gordon, and the home side with it on the right in midfield. Vermeeren back to Højbjerg. Bacola here, playing it back to his defenders. Pavard inside to Balerdi. And goalkeeper Rulli. A short pass to Højbjerg, who comes to the edge of the box to collect it. Stabbed away by Schär, but it just got it too far ahead of Tonali, who is the most advanced Newcastle player, and it runs through to the keeper. And they're committing players. It is a high press, and it's Bruno here chasing the ball back into the keeper. Malik Chow's pushed on as well, and Chow's in the Marseille box trying to win it back. It's with Weah on the far touchline now. Back to Pavard, to Rulli, who has a heavy touch, hammers it across the area to Balerdi. Emerson on into Bacola, who's got turned. Fabian Schär, whistle's gone for a foul by Schär on the 17-year-old, and a free kick close to the centre circle. It shows how comfortable Marseille are playing it, putting the
dangerous
ball at risk
game
in those areas, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like you say,
dangerous game.
One mistake, Ando, as Newcastle commit players forward into the press and closing down aggressively, and then they would get the ball back close to goal. Harvey Barnes in the 6th minute, and that separates the two teams. Left-footed shot from the middle of the penalty area. Marseille 0, Newcastle United 1. At the front of the centre circle, played by Balerdi to Højbjerg. Mason Greenwood here, a little bit deeper on the ball, lay off to Vermeeren. Højbjerg onto Emerson, sends it wide to Igor Paixão. Back to Emerson, standing on the corner of the penalty area. Højbjerg dispossessed by Willock. Now a foot race between Willock and Balerdi. Joe Willock's taking it under control and taking it wide inside to Gordon. They've got options here. It's Bruno. Barnes free to the left. Bruno's pass is too close to the keeper. Oh, Joe Willock did so well for United there to win the ball back and keep them moving up the pitch. And Barnes, it was the right ball to play. Maybe, Ando, he could have gone outside.
Could have gone wider,
rather
couldn't
than
he?
inside.
Yeah, could have gone wider. He's gone for that killer pass inside. The defender always too close to the goalkeeper. But as I said earlier, Ray, it's a dangerous game. Marseille are playing this possession-based game.
Newcastle
because
have it again.
that happens
in the attacking half. 30 yards from the goal with Livramento. Bruno to Chow. Murphy available on the near side. He's played it forwards to Bruno once more. Now for Willock in behind, but eased out a bit by Balerdi, and the goalkeeper comes and lands on it just outside the 6-yard box. Oh, they've lost it to Tonali. Here's Bruno's ball. Willock, right side of the area, saved by the knees of the goalkeeper who got down. And it's a curious way to stop the shot, but he scooped it away with his knees, and it sent Marseille on the counter-attack with Weah into the area to Greenwood behind for a corner of Fabian Schär. Well, there is lots going on at both ends of the pitch. It's a match that has become increasingly open. We've just passed the half-hour mark. Newcastle could have been further ahead, and there Marseille broke with purpose and get a corner kick.
Yeah, but at times Marseille are at 6s and 7s from a defensive point of view. They're all over the place at times, Razor. They keep playing the way they are, you'll get more chances.
Newcastle win the header, and then Malik Chow brings it 30 yards up the pitch, looking for Gordon left wing, intercepted. Murphy makes a block and then catches his man late. They've both gone down hurt. Vermeeren gets away. Livramento slides in to block the cross, and that's a great header from Bruno. Looped it up back to Nick Pope. Thought Murphy may well have been in trouble for that challenge, but the referee allowed play to continue. Marseille had the advantage, and Newcastle defended the situation. And here's Murphy in the centre, and it's a through ball that bends out to the right and away from Gordon, whose run was straight through the middle. A couple of times the final pass hasn't been quite right, but Marseille are very shaky in defence, aren't they, John Anderson?
Yeah, they're all over the place defensively. They keep trying to play this possession game, and it's dangerous because of the way that we're playing, putting a lot of pressure on them. They've got to be so precise. We'll get an awful lot more chances, I feel.
Mason Greenwood takes a touch 35 yards out, passes it to Timothy Weah, goes for the 1-2, intercepted by Dan Burn and lifted clear by the big man. Vermeeren's header into midfield, and Højbjerg doing what he does, what he did for Spurs and Southampton, getting to the ball first. The midfield legwork. Then it's a ball into the area. Newcastle get it clear, but not properly. And Greenwood here lining up a shot. Great desire to block the effort from United. Fabian Schär, important header away. Igor Paschal slips, and here's the counter-attack. Such an exciting game. Murphy to Gordon. Oh, he let it run, and it's intercepted. Let the ball try to come to him rather than going to meet it. And Marseille, Igor Paschal crosses it straight to Livramento, who clears. He's given it back to Marseille. Where to Greenwood, just behind the D. Igor Paschal again. Right-footed curling effort, just wide of Nick Pope's left-hand post, low down. He's been involved in all three big moments there. The initial Marseille attack, losing it for the Newcastle counter, and then that effort, which was close.
Yeah, I mean, he just drifts in off that right side. I think Nick Pope always knew it was going wide. It was never getting enough bend on it to really curl inside that left-hand post. But it's opened up a bit, hasn't it?
I would be astonished if this finished 1-0. Certainly there feels like there's more in it for Newcastle in front of goal. Harvey Barnes in the 6th minute has given them their lead in the south of France here on BBC Radio Newcastle. But Marseille have threatened as well. And although Nick Pope's made a couple of saves, that's probably their best effort, because the two saves were pretty comfortable earlier in the half. Højbjerg to Igor Paschal again. Forward signed from Feyenoord in the summer for 30 million. Made a good start in French football and in the Champions League for Marseille. 2 in their win over Ajax and 1 in a defeat away at Sporting Lisbon. They also lost at Real Madrid in the Bernabeu, and their last Champions League match was a 1-0 home defeat by Atalanta of Italy. So 1 win, 3 defeats so far. They have it on the right. Greenwood or Bacola sidesteps his man. Referee, what's he given? A decision's been made. Is he going to show a yellow card? Is it a free kick to Newcastle for a dive, perhaps? Well, it's not a penalty. It is a yellow card for Daryl Bacola, the 17-year-old who chopped inside away from the Newcastle challenge, and the referee blew the whistle, but pointed for a free kick to Newcastle United rather than penalty, and has cautioned the teenager. That's a huge moment, and it goes Newcastle United's way.
Oh, it's blatant dive. I honestly don't believe how he thought he was ever going to get away with that.
Newcastle have lost it though from that free kick for Vermeeren. Greenwood, left-footed effort, low down inside the area, big block by Dan Burn. Ware with an opportunity to cross, instead plays it short to Greenwood, then Ware goes beyond on the outside, far side of the pitch for Marseille, their right wing, back to Greenwood, that's a good ball in, and it should have been put away. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with a header just in front of goal has guided the ball wide of Nick Pope's left-hand post, and somehow Newcastle's lead remains intact. Marseille really ought to be level through Aubameyang there.
Huge chance, isn't it? Got all the goal to hit, middle of the 6-yard box. Somebody of his quality, you'd expect to see the back of the net bust, wouldn't you? You got it all wrong.
Well, as much as we've talked about Marseille's frailties defensively and the space and the opportunities Newcastle have had, only one has been converted through Harvey Barnes early in the match. In the last few minutes, Newcastle have been a little bit stretched and in some uncomfortable situations defensively. Jacob Murphy deals with a long ball. He was the furthest man back, Murphy, which is not something that you would necessarily expect or want to see. It's played to Nick Pope, a long clearance from Pope up Newcastle's left wing. Barnes was closest to it. Balerdi now back to the goalkeeper. 38 minutes played. Marseille through Rulli to Balerdi, who turns inside on the edge of the area away from Gordon. Back with Geronimo Rulli, brought back into the team in one of 3 changes tonight by Roberto De Zerbi. Jacob Murphy there, bouncing ball, and a header guided back into the path of Malik Chow. Murphy onto Willock, first time, flick back to Tonali. Bruno just inside the centre circle to Sandro Tonali again, and now Cher to Burn. Livramento could get it, they go infield instead to Tonali. Barnes here receives it from the Italian, back to Burn. Livramento to Bruno, receives it on the half turn and gets a free kick. It was Arthur Vermeeren just all over the Newcastle captain, and the free kick taken. Tonali dispossessed, edge of the area. Aubameyang down under the challenge, no foul, and the second attempt goes wide. Newcastle are really living dangerously in the Stade Velodrome. They lost it through Tonali, not far from the penalty area. The first challenge came in to stop Aubameyang getting the shot away, but then I think from the floor he managed to hook it towards goal with Nick Pope off his line, and it went wide at the near side. It remains Marseille 0, Newcastle United 1, but that lead looks increasingly fragile.
I'm not too sure how much time Aubameyang wanted. Could have got a shot away an awful lot earlier. That's 2 big chances he's had in the space of a couple of minutes, and he hasn't been able to take either one of them.
Murphy for Willock in the corner on the right. Newcastle with Willock. Nice turn, and that's a cross that is deflected behind by captain Leonardo Baleri, the Argentinian international, sticking to the task defensively with Willock, who's got into some good attacking positions, brought into the midfield tonight in place of Joe Linton. And Sandro Tonali, corner kick, near side of the pitch. Gordon runs along the goal line, they haven't spotted him. He gets it from Tonali, plays it back to the Italian, inside to Murphy, who shifts it away from Vermeeren, then comes back to the near side to Gordon. Short ball to Tonali, he shifts it. Now it's with Murphy. They're yet to deliver the cross. Murphy to Bruno. Back to Willock. Up the line to Murphy. Tries to go between two challengers. Not quite sure they were clear on what they were trying to achieve there. And then Anthony Gordon is yellow carded for slowing down the Marseille break. A tug in the middle part of the pitch. From corner kick that could have gone into the box, was played short to Gordon, back to Tonali. Then they seemed to really lack conviction about what they were doing.
Yeah, ran out of ideas, didn't they? Ball needed to go into the penalty area an awful lot earlier. They had a couple of chances to stick it in there, didn't take it, broke down, and Gordon picks up a yellow card.
Newcastle still lead 1-0 here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Chelsea 1-0 up against Barcelona at Stamford Bridge. They'd already had a goal disallowed. The one that counted as an own goal by Jules Koundé, the defender, who had a brilliant game at St James's Park earlier in the season. And Manchester City 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1 at the Etihad. Leverkusen is Newcastle's next destination in the Champions League in 2 weeks. One back by Tonali, and Willock on for Gordon. Anthony Gordon in the penalty area, Rooney saves, and it's smashed out of play on the far side for a United throw. Another big chance for Newcastle tonight. 2 passes and Gordon was in, and Geronimo Rulli makes an important save, and Tino Livramento with an uncharacteristic slip following the throw, miscontrols, and it's Marseille's ball, and they get it back in play, and they've just done exactly the same. Timothy Weah, he's miscontrolled, and now it's Newcastle's throw again, about 15 yards out.
Dear oh dear. Both sides just can't keep it at the moment, can they?
Gordon looking for what would have been 5 in 5 in the Champions League. He's on the edge of the area, and Tino Livramento, a long throw into the box. The keeper's gone down on the corner of the 6-yard box. Dan Burn was on the floor. There's a Marseille outfield player on the deck as well. Think of the goalkeeper goes down flat on the floor, the whistle will always be blown, and Maurizio Mariani decided to stop the match, and Geronimo Rulli requires the Marseille medical men, and they're jogging not sprinting, into the penalty area. There will be a short wait, hopefully just a short wait, for the match to resume. We've got a minute of the opening 45 to play, and Harvey Barnes with the goal to have Newcastle United in the lead in the Champions League in France. This is the 9th time they've played a European game in France. Their only win on French soil, you will have been at this one, Ando, you'll remember a 4-0 win against Sochaux in the UEFA Cup in the 2004-2005 season. So the year after they reached the semi-finals. That was in the early days of the Graham Souness era, which is one that those who remember try to forget about, I dare suggest. So, not the greatest record in France, but they've looked good on the attack. Marseille haven't looked good at the back, but only 1 goal in this, and really the French side, John Anderson, should be level, with Aubameyang having 2 or 3 big chances And then the curling effort as well from Igor Paschal, just past Nick Pope's post.
Yeah, you got to take
Probably
your chances.
their best opportunities.
Yeah, you got to take your chances. Aubameyang's had 2 real big opportunities, and he hasn't been able to take either of them, thankfully.
Well, Geronimo Rulli has had a bandage applied to his head following that treatment. I'm pleased to say he can continue and they don't need to make a substitution.
Yeah, I mean, there was a coming together with Dan Bourne. Yeah, it's coming together. Dan Bourne got pushed into him and accidentally caught him on the head, but stood on his head. There's no intention, nothing intentionally about it at all. It was a pure accident.
Marseille have the ball in midfield, Newcastle everybody behind it. Now at the end of the 45 and going into additional time, which will be 3 minutes. We're into that period, but obviously they may play on for a bit more because of the length of time that treatment was given there. I should say as well, John Anderson back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Although I'm in the Stade Velodrome, you have access to a television screen with replays. I don't. So I will see things once and you will see them again and again from different angles. Here are Marseille trying to find a way through Newcastle and looking to level the scores before the interval. A dinked ball to the edge of the area, brought down by Byrne. Bruno spins, tries to get Newcastle into the attacking half. He's found Gordon, and there's a pass looking for either Livramento or Barnes, but it's defended by Marseille. And Emerson, close to his own penalty box. To the left wing to Igor Paschal, back to Emerson, and they've got the situation under control. They've got the ball, Marseille. The Champions League campaign hasn't gone the way they wanted or the way they would have expected. They really ought to be level with Newcastle tonight. Real frustration in the stands over the chances they have missed. United just a couple of minutes, possibly less, to see out before they can take a 1-0 lead into half-time here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Daryl Bacola, yellow carded for a dive in the box. Here he is from halfway, up the left wing, and Greenwood trying to get around Chow. Willock's won it, carries it up the Newcastle right, and he's away from Bacola. Ball into the middle, Anthony Gordon, goalkeeper's off his line, they both miss it. Gordon's got it again, goes for the curler that's blocked. Livramento, back out to Gordon, flag stays down, edge of the penalty area. Fabian Schär on it now, forwards to Bruno, but the whistle's gone for half-time, and Marseille may be saved there by referee Maurizio Mariani, bringing the first half to a close. And Newcastle protest. Bruno and Tonali going to the referee to perhaps ask about the timing of that whistle. Gordon had the best opportunity there in that moment when the cross came in. It was between him and goalkeeper Geronimo Rulli. Neither could get it. Gordon went after the ball, retrieved it. Newcastle stayed on the attack and they were close to the edge of the penalty area, but then the half-time whistle went. Maybe a chance that they will be frustrated about not being able to continue and push for a second goal, which would have been a hammer blow for Marseille. But John Anderson, an interesting game, an entertaining first half of football, and Newcastle through Harvey Barnes have the lead at half-time.
Yeah, it's a game that's really stretched. I mean, Marseille trying to play a real possession-based game, but leaving themselves so vulnerable at the back. And then we break with pace, we break in numbers, and Marseille find themselves at 6s and 7s. You know, it's a really, we could be we could be a couple ahead. In saying that, Marseille have had two really big chances. Aubameyang, the header he should score with, and the second one as well, he just wanted too long. But the way that first 45 minutes has gone, Razor, you would be absolutely amazed if this finished 1-0, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but they will be delighted to be in front. Barnes took the goal well. He's in great form at the moment. He's scored goals in the Champions League for Newcastle all season, and it was one that you would expect him to put away, given that it fell to him in the middle of the box. And no problem for Harvey Barnes. You always back. I know he missed two big chances at the weekend, but more often than not, he's the man that delivers in front of goal, isn't he?
Yeah. Look, it's a real good finish. You know, they break down that right. 6 minutes on the clock. Tonali drives a ball in. It's held down by Gordon, and he just gets it out of his feet, and he just hits it straight back across the keeper with his left foot into the bottom left-hand corner. You know, he's somebody whose confidence is sky high at this moment in time in front of goal.
Some of the Marseille fans in front of me are giving me some funny looks, so I'm going to go inside and try and avoid them during the half-time break. Yeah, it's an intimidating place to come for away teams, for away supporters. The Newcastle fans were brought here. They had to leave their meeting point in the Marseille city centre, the designated fan area, with security presence and police escort to take them on the metro to the stadium. They left at 4:30, which is 3:30 UK time. So they've been in here for quite a few hours already. They could have 7 or 8 hours in the ground tonight. A long time to wait for the match. They'll be held back afterwards as well, and given a police escort back into the city, such as the safety level of concern around this match. There's quite a high crime rate in Marseille, and the supporters often clash with rival and visiting sets of supporters. Strict safety advice for this one. There's about 3,000 Geordies in here, and they've seen their team go in front and hold on to that lead throughout the first half. Harvey Barnes in the 6th minute for the Magpies in the south of France. The Champions League live on BBC Radio Newcastle at half-time. Olympique de Marseille 0, Newcastle United 1.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Northeast icon Denise Welsh has released a Christmas song.
Sleigh bells, we're doing it our way. We're serving looks, not turkey.
Lots of reaction coming into it this morning. Ian in South Shields, your thoughts?
What an absolute pile of poop.
Yeah, lots of positive reviews. Stephen in Shotley Bridge has sent a voice note.
Tell him to pack it in, please. I'll give money to children in need. Just stop, Matthew. It's horrific.
I can feel it. Christmas number 1 on the way.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
Newcastle United leading in the south of France at half-time, then 1-0 up at Marseille thanks to Harvey Barnes. We'll be back with Matthew Raisbeck inside the Stade Velodrome and John Anderson for full commentary of the second half, about 10 minutes time before that gets underway. Elsewhere in the Champions League tonight then, lots of games of course. 2 that have finished already because they kicked off at 5:45. Benfica winning 2-0 away at Ajax, who've had a terrible campaign so far. And Union Saint-Gilloise, who of course you will know, Newcastle United beat 4-0 earlier on in the competition, went to Turkey and won by a goal to nil against Galatasaray tonight. So they've kept their chances of qualifying for the next round, or for the knockout stages, very much alive. A whole host of games that are also kicked off at 8 o'clock, but not a single one has more than 1 goal in it. So Juventus are 1-0 down away at Bodo Glimt. Blomberg with their goal after 25 minutes. Borussia Dortmund have just taken the lead on the stroke of half-time at home to Villarreal. Chelsea are 1-0 up on Barcelona. It was a Jules Koundé own goal after 27 minutes that gave them the lead, and Barcelona are now down to 10 men as well. Raul Araujo given his second yellow card just before half-time. Bayer Leverkusen, who Newcastle played next in the Champions League, are winning by a goal to nil at Manchester City at half-time. Alejandro Grimaldo after 25 minutes. And the final 2 games in the Champions League at half-time, both goalless. Napoli against Karabag and Slavia Prague against Athletic Club. One game in the Scottish Premiership, and there is a bit of a Newcastle link in that the former Newcastle defender Grant Hanley has been sent off for Hibs, and they are 2-0 down at Motherwell. That one a 7:45 kickoff, so it's about 5 minutes into the second half. So too are all the games in the Championship, of which there are plenty, and plenty of goals as well at the Riverside. Middlesbrough 2, Coventry 2, both of the top two sides playing each other in the Championship tonight. Coventry were 2-0 up after 15 minutes, Ellis Sims and Liam Kitching. But one back from Morgan Whittaker just before, about 10 minutes before half-time, and then Brandon Thomas with an own goal 4 minutes into the second half, the equaliser for Middlesbrough. So Middlesbrough 2, Coventry 2. Hull City and Ipswich is goalless. Norwich lead Oxford United by 1-0 through Makama. Stoke City are 3-0 up on Charlton. They were 2-0 up after 5 minutes. Sorba Thomas and Milian Manhoef. Sorba Thomas getting his second 10 minutes before half-time as well. So Stoke City 3, Charlton 0. Derby County 2-0 up at Swansea. They're now 10 minutes into the second half, actually. Watford against Preston North End is 1 apiece. Jebison for Preston, Doumbia on the stroke of half-time for Watford. And Southampton cruising at home to Leicester City, who had Aluko sent off after half an hour for a second yellow card. They were already 2-0 up at that point. Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Finn Azaz for Southampton. Harwood-Bellis then got a second before half-time, so it's Southampton 3, Leicester City 0. 2 games in League One as well tonight. Luton are 1-0 up on Huddersfield, and Stevenage are 1-0 up away at Peterborough. There's a host of games in the National League Cup, which I'm not going to go through, partly because not that many people are interested in the competition. But in Group D, Sunderland's under-21s away at Halifax tonight. That one kicked off at 7 o'clock, so it has just finished. Abdullah Ba scoring for Sunderland in a 1-1 draw. They go to a penalty shootout, straight to a penalty shootout for an extra point, and Sunderland won that shootout by 2-1. So they have taken 2 points from their Group D match tonight. In non-league, South Shields, the leaders of National League North, on the road and 2-0 up at half-time, or actually just early into the second half, at Worksop. Lamar Gordon 2 minutes before half-time on his debut, and then Will Jenkins 5 minutes after the break. So Worksop 0, South Shields 2. Hebburn in action, having gone 4 games without conceding a goal, never mind losing. 4 wins. They did concede today, but they are also 3-1 up away at Gainsborough Trinity. Jack Donaghy and Ethan Wood inside the first 15 minutes. Liam Murray just before half-time making it 3-1 to them. In the East Division, a couple of our teams in action tonight. Consett drawing 0-0 away at Bradford Park Avenue. Dunstan, though, are 2-0 down away at Silsden. We will go through all of those full-time scores, because most of them kicked off at 7:45 when the Newcastle United match has finished. And a reminder, talking of when that match finishes as well, you can get in touch with us. We're on until 10:30. Come on and have a chat with Ando. The number to call once the match has finished is 0800 234 6565. Sticking with football, though, the England and Chelsea goalkeeper Hannah Hampton's been crowned the BBC Women's Footballer of the Year 2025. She finished ahead of the England and Arsenal striker Alessia Russo, and Spain and Barcelona's Aitana Bonmati was third. It's been an incredibly successful 12 months for Hannah Hampton, for both club and country. Named the world's best female goalkeeper at the 2025 Ballon d'Or ceremony after helping England with her penalty-saving heroics to win Euro 2025. Chelsea, her club, also going unbeaten throughout the entire Women's Super League campaign as well, and lifting the treble as well. Hannah Hampton, after being given that award, this award, the BBC Women's Footballer of the Year award, was speaking to the BBC's Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it. With all the other players nominated, I think they've all had unbelievable years. So yeah, definitely didn't expect it, and I just don't think I did until the final moment when Sonia revealed the trophy, with how she was going off on a tangent with how she announced it. But yeah, obviously it's lovely.
Obviously Sonia gave the most bizarre reveal ever of an award, but you know, some of the things that she was saying about you as a player and you as a person, as a teammate, as someone that she works with every day, how does that make you feel as well? Some of the things that she is saying about you, in terms of, obviously professionally it's been an amazing 12 months, but as a person as well, it just must be really nice to hear her comments.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's your manager at the end of the day, so it's always nice hearing lovely stuff off her. Sonia's helped us a lot in the short space of time she's been at the club, both on and off the pitch, with difficult moments throughout the summer, with all the family stuff that happened, and then having to go and perform on the big stage as we did do. So she's helped me through a lot. She's been through it herself, so she knows what it's like and the feeling. So it's always better when someone can relate to that as well. And yeah, Sonia's really pushed me to test my abilities in different ways than what everyone probably sees.
Hannah Hampton there talking to Maz Faruqi after winning the Women's Footballer of the Year 2025 award. We'll talk rugby union next because Newcastle Red Bulls, off the back of a heavy cup defeat last weekend, are back in Prem action this Friday night. They take on Leicester Tigers. Our rugby union commentator Dean Gray has been speaking to their head coach Alan Dickens ahead of Friday night.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it with all the...
No, that's Hannah Hampton again. If you've never heard Alan Dickens before, I assure you he sounds nothing like that. This is what he sounds like.
It's never a good time to play Leicester Tigers because, again, they've got strength and depth. I think they're lying 5th in the table, and they won 3, lost a couple. But you imagine would be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. But if you're going to play them, just on the back of the autumn internationals, where they're probably going to be missing some players, is a good time to play them. And at home as well, and the support's been fantastic here at home, hasn't it?
I'll start on that bit first. I think the support's been absolutely brilliant here with the games that we've had, whether it's the Prem or the Prem Cup. And then talking about Leicester, as you said there, they're sitting 5th. They were losing semi-finalists last season, and look, it's not something we've talked around. We've not even kind of looked at who they might have and who they might not, because they've got a strong squad. So in teams that challenge at the top 4 have that strength in depth, so whichever team they send up there, we need to kind of put our best foot forward and put in a performance.
And a lot of talk about Tom Christie, arrived at the camp now. We're looking forward to seeing him and what he'll bring on the ground, especially, which you just talked about before, being an area that we need to tighten up on. And Christian Wade, I think, is going to be floating around this weekend, not playing, but certainly arriving. Is that right?
I don't know if he arrives this weekend, it'll be at the game, but he'll definitely be arriving at Saturday or Sunday, I think, because his first day in will be Monday. So, again, looking forward to kind of linking up with Christian again. So having last worked with him back in 2016, so it's a long time ago that now when you think about it. But yeah, that's so looking forward to him arriving.
And I'm sure neither of you've aged particularly when they have a look at you, Alan. But yeah, so it's going to be a tough ask against Leicester. Just about team news, Haim Favour went off with what looked an awful injury at first, because he was down an awful long time. Credit the officials and the medics as well, run very quickly. What's he looking like?
As you said there, I think Hame looked pretty serious at the time, and I think the medics were outstanding. One of the most pleasing things was when I got back into the change room, Hame was actually up and about walking, so that was really good to see. But again, he'll go through the return to play protocol over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where he's at after that.
And what's the squad looking like as well in terms of injuries and replacements? Players like Eduardo Basho still floating around, but hasn't made an appearance yet, and hasn't done so for a long while. Yeah,
so look, he's still on the mend. So he won't be available this weekend. But the people like Sammy Arnold still carrying a hamstring injury, but generally we're okay.
And Dean will be back on Friday night with live commentary of that game, Newcastle Red Bulls against Leicester Tigers in the Prem. Just time to tell you South Shields are now 3-0 up at Worksop Town. Will Jenkins has scored his second, but the teams are in the tunnel at the Stade Velodrome, just a minute or so away then from the second half of Newcastle United's Champions League game at Marseille. They lead by a 1-0. Second half coming up with Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport Northeast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Corner of the penalty area. Murphy went beyond. Willock didn't play the cross. Then slips it in for Tonali. No offside. Looking for Gordon. And Harvey Barnes has scored again. Harvey Barnes' run of goals continues, and Newcastle take the lead in the south of France.
Total Sport Northeast.
The Champions League. Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
A 1-0 lead for Newcastle United in the south of France as the players return to the pitch for the second half. And we'll just wait to see whether there are any changes, any substitutions. Doesn't look like it. We'll confirm that in a moment. Harvey Barnes with the only goal, came in the 6th minute. The Opta supercomputer gave Newcastle an 82% chance of reaching the last 16 of the Champions League. and a 40% chance of making the quarter-finals. That was before tonight's match kicked off. The percentage chances will only have increased, I'm sure, over the first 45 minutes, given that they are leading and on 12 points from 4.5 matches, looking up the Champions League table and hopefully heading to the knockout stages. But they've got to get through another 45 minutes against Marseille, who were the first French club to win the Champions League in 1993. That was actually the first season after it was rebranded to the Champions League from the European Cup. The only other French club to win it, Paris Saint-Germain, last season. And about time for them, but one of Marseille's big rivals to French Champions League winners. Second half gets underway with Newcastle kicking off and shooting towards the goal at the left-hand side here in the Stade Velodrome in the southern part of the city of Marseille, and a ball forward up the right wing, and Nick Pope's left his goal, and Marseille have equalised inside 30 seconds of the second half. Wow, what a start. It's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Newcastle caught cold by a ball up the line, the near side. Pope was well out of his box. Aubameyang, at 36 years of age, still sharp and still able to finish off chances. And he took it around the keeper and then bent it inside the near post. Well, they didn't even get time to settle into the second half. They barely kicked off, and the French side are level. It's Marseille 1, Newcastle United 1.
Oh, it's a horrendous start to the second half for us, Rosa, but it's a poor goalkeeping. What's he doing coming all the way out there? Aubameyang's still got a long, long way to go. There's defenders around him. He's just got to stay in his penalty area, stay in his goal line. But you can see it on his face. As soon as he gets there, he knows he's made a major, major error. It's a poor goal to give away.
What is the reason for coming in that situation and leaving the box? Obviously, you have to judge each situation on its merits and how the play might develop, but like you say, he's come such a long way out and out to a wide position as well.
Yeah, I mean, only he can answer that. I mean, it's a poor decision from him to come all that way.
Newcastle are on the edge of the Marseille box. Tonali's got it to Barnes, who has a low shot and straight at the goalkeeper in the centre of the goal. It's not an effort that had much power in it, unfortunately. Burns won it back. Tonali onto Bruno. Here's Gordon round the corner. Joe Willock with a touch, then Willock with an effort, and it's stabbed in by Barnes, and they've gone back in front, but the flag is up for offside. And the assistant referee, Alberto Tigoni, has denied Newcastle, a bit like Saturday, a second goal immediately after conceding. VAR will check, but they got into the position with Willock on the right-hand side in the area, and it might have been more of a cross than a shot from Willock. Barnes put it in. VAR is just checking, but it looks like it's going to be ruled out.
He looked offside. Just seen it again, Rosa. Just seen it again. But it's a poor goal. It's a poor equaliser to give away.
It's 1-1 still. The Barnes goal ruled out. He was offside. Marseille gone up the left wing. And Fabien Cher heads away across. I will recap the two 11s, the lineups, in a moment. Because there's another attack underway here. Igor Paschal wide on the left. Aubameyang in the middle. About 35 yards from Newcastle's goal. Alta Vermeeren, midfielder on loan from RB Leipzig for Marseille. Having conceded to create such a great chance. And I don't know if it's maybe a lack of confidence from Willock. He's not played much football. Brought into the team for only his third start of the season. He had a touch to set himself. He might have been able to take a shot on first time. Perhaps it hasn't quite come off the part of his foot that he wanted it to, and Barnes has tapped it in, but Barnes was offside, so it didn't count. Here's Weah on the outside of Livramento, and at the near post, the cross is converted, and Marseille inside 5 minutes at the start of the second half to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Again, have tipped this match on its head, and Newcastle led at the break, and now they are 2-1 down after an Aubameyang double.
Well, it's a great finish. Wicked ball whipped in near post. Just gets across. Dan Burn, I think it is. Seen him do it many a time in Arsenal, and he's just fired it high into the top of the net. Past Nick Pope. There's not a great deal that he can do about that one, to be fair. What a turnaround in this game inside the opening 5 minutes of the second half. It was a game that we looked in total control of, and now all of a sudden we have to come from behind.
Well, it was...
No, it's Cher, sorry Fraser, Cher he gets beyond. He just gets ahead of Fabian Cher. I thought it was Nick Byrne, but it was Fabian Cher. Wicked ball whipped in near post.
Yeah, well the ball went behind Byrne, and it was Cher, the defender, with Aubameyang, but he got across Cher, like you say, and then they've just shown the match on the giant screen in the far corner of the Stade Velodrome. And Newcastle have lost it following the kick-off, and this could get worse here. Marseille are in the penalty box again. They play it out to the right, and Weah with another cross, and Nick Pope makes a save from Højbjerg. Thank goodness it fell to him, and not Aubameyang again, and not one of Marseille's forward players, if not Aubameyang. 2-1 could have become 3-1. Newcastle were leading at half-time. They conceded straight away, and then they scored, but it was ruled out for offside. Marseille in the 50th minute made it 2-1, and then the 52nd minute they almost went further ahead. Now Joe Willock's been caught late by a challenge, and a yellow card has been shown to Emerson, and Willock is down and players are crowding around him as the Marseille fans are on their feet.
Well, I'll tell you what, this could be looked at, Razor. This could be looked at.
Well, I'm just trying to establish whether there is a full VAR check for Emerson, the former West Ham and Chelsea defender's challenge on Joe Willock. The referee's making a note in his book. Willock's pulled to his feet, Emerson's given him a hug, and it seems as though play will continue with no...
He's a lucky boy.
Upgrade from yellow to red. Yeah, the match has restarted. Marseille 2, Newcastle United 1. Livramento, that's dropping behind the, goodness me, Balerdi, the last defender. It was bouncing, and decided to go for an overhead kick to clear it. It wasn't the best clearance, and they haven't left their defensive third, Marseille. Now goalkeeper Rulli clears it away. Chow heads forwards. Newcastle, who need to come from behind, have it. Willock flicked out to the wide right position to Murphy. It's with Tanali. There's nobody in the box. Up the line to Murphy. Goes on the outside. Now they've got players in the middle. Murphy has won a corner kick on the far side of the pitch. It really has, in 9 minutes, had it all this second half. And the first half that should have brought us more than just the one goal. Well, Marseille have done their bit in the second half. Newcastle will now look to bring the scores level from this corner kick. It's again rolled short to Gordon along the goal line, back to Tanali. Now Murphy, first time cross. Keeper's punched it. Willock, edge of the area. Bruno looking for another navy blue Newcastle shirt. Goes back to Murphy. His ball deflects and is brought under control there by Balerdi. Marseille go up the left wing, and that's very well defended by Livramento, twice actually, up the line there to Murphy, and they've got a throw just behind the halfway line, but it's actually, the referee's overruled the assistant and given it the way of Marseille. Here's the Newcastle team: Pope, Murphy, Chow, Cher, Byrne, Livramento, Bruno, Tanali, Willock, Barnes and Gordon, and Marseille. Bruley in goal, Pavard, Balerdi, Emerson, Weah, Vermeeren, Højbjerg, Bacola, Igor Paschal, Greenwood and Aubameyang. Newcastle substitutes including Voltemada, Ramsey and Elanga are warming up. Livramento to the feet of Bruno. Puts his foot on the ball in the middle of Newcastle's half. Back to Cher and then forwards to Tanali, who looks left and then right and then drives forwards. Barnes with a little nutmeg and a ball back to Tanali, but Vermeeren slid in and won it. And Daryl Bacola brings Marseille forwards up to the edge of the area. And Nick Pope makes a save at the near post from the effort fired in from Mason Greenwood. Newcastle can't keep it on halfway, but Højbjerg sliding in has given it back to them. Dan Byrne now, they're going to come up the near side. It's with Livramento on halfway, on to Gordon, back out to Byrne, and Livramento for Gordon once more. Anthony Gordon goes on a run inside to Livramento, worked well. Bruno here to Willock, edge of the area, spread wide right to Murphy. He's got 5 in the middle. Murphy to deflected cross, and Marseille managed to clear. Newcastle losing 2-1 in the 57th minute, with 2 goals early in the second half from the hosts to turn it around on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Yeah, the game's completely turned around, hasn't it? It was a game in which we looked like we were in total control of, to be quite honest. The opening 5 minutes of that second half, you just didn't see it happening, to be quite honest. You know, as I say, we looked like we were in control of the game.
Not
now
in
we've
that
got a couple
manner,
behind.
particularly the first goal, and when Nick Pope came a very long way out and wide of the goal and was rounded by Aubameyang, who finished and still had quite a bit to do with the finish as well, and guided it into the net with such accuracy. Here's Barnes for Livramento. It's come back to Barnes, but that's a good challenge there from Pavard. It's found its way to Tanali. Bruno, left side of the Newcastle attack. Livramento again has to come back to Byrne. Marseille with everybody behind the ball, and manager Roberto De Zerbi in his technical area on the move to get his players into position as United give it to Murphy on the far side. He's looked to whip one low and in between goalkeeper and defence, and it's hit Emerson on the near side and gone out for a Newcastle throw. Tanali goes across to take it. Livramento jogs back to halfway. Aubameyang has stayed up in attack. Another ball played to Gordon on the goal line. Now back to Bruno. Murphy inside. Bruno's found Willock in the area. Joe Willock! Oh, that's a big save. And a good save from Geronimo Rulli. Willock with conviction that time. And the goalkeeper had to get up and beat the ball away and behind for a corner.
Yeah, he just drifted into that penalty area, didn't it? Nobody picked him up. Swiveled, hit it. To save, you'd expect the keeper to make, to be fair, Razor. Strong hand, pushed it over the top.
The corner kick on the right hand side for Newcastle United. Sandro Tonali again. They stick it in the middle this time. There's a header across the 6-yard box, and Gordon wide of the goal, couldn't keep it in, or couldn't get it back into the middle, or an effort on target. He stretched to try and get there, but it's going to be a Marseille goal kick, and there will be now a triple Newcastle United change. Tino Livramento is leaving the pitch, replaced by Lewis Hall. Lewis Miley is coming on for Jacob Murphy. And Anthony Elanga is replacing Fabian Schär.
Going to a straight back four, Eddie.
Anthony Gordon, in the meantime, has been handed a note. Well, Lewis Miley appears to have gone to right back. We're playing again. Marseille lead 2-1, having come from behind at the break. We're now in the 61st minute. Weah, who created the second goal, cuts one back here, and they've got a corner out of this. The effort from Mason Greenwood, pushed behind by Nick Pope at his near post. I'm still trying to work out who's playing where. I think some of the players are as well. It's not just changes of personnel, it's perhaps positional and formation switches for Newcastle. They bring on bring off Daryl Bakola, and on comes Matt O'Reilly, the English-born Danish international midfielder who is on loan from Brighton. Marseille corner, left-footed from the right, from Emerson. About 6 yards out, Byrne heads away, then an acrobatic effort from Aubameyang, chasing his hat-trick, blocked by Barnes, who's felt the full force of that, and just needs a few seconds to pick himself up. Well, this is the Champions League. It's hard. And Marseille, second in the French league, have certainly responded. Here's the corner, flicked across the box, kept in with a back heel and claimed by Nick Pope at the near post. Harvey Barnes had Newcastle into the lead at half-time, but Aubameyang has since scored twice, and Newcastle have had one disallowed. Both teams have had further opportunities. It's been enjoyable to watch, but Newcastle will be so frustrated at the way this has got away from them, but it is not out of reach, not at all. Still the best part of half an hour remaining, live on BBC Radio Newcastle. There's the ball up the right wing. Dan Byrne turns and puts it out. It looks like the formation is now Pope, Miley at right back, Chow, Byrne centre halves, Hall at left back, Elanga right wing, Barnes left wing, Tonali, Bruno, Willock in the middle, and Gordon up top on his own. The advantage of having such a high commentary position is that you get a good tactical overview. Here are Marseille, Aubameyang, edge of the area, trying to find room for the shot. Oh, a couple of deflections, and Nick Pope dives past his post and does well to prevent the corner. Makes the save.
It's a strange one, putting Miley at right back, isn't it, Razor?
Well, they don't. Kraft travelled with them, having missed the match at the weekend, but he's not on the bench tonight, and there's no Trippier. So there's no obvious player to go at right back. Malik Chow can play there, but they probably wouldn't want to take him out of the centre. Marseille have won a throw on the right in their own half. They haven't beaten an English club for 15 years. 2010 Champions League win over Chelsea. And a yellow card has just been shown to Dan Burn for a challenge in midfield. Home supporters are happy now. Their only win in the competition this season was here against Ajax, but there were no Dutch supporters in the stadium that night. They were banned from travelling to Marseille, so it was all home fans. And in a place like this, yeah, you can imagine what the Stade Velodrome was like that night. Ajax, no one cheering them on. Marseille won 4-0. The 3,000 or so Newcastle supporters, I'm sure, will be absolutely stunned by the turnaround in the early part of the second half. 2-1 to the French club, and they've played their way around Newcastle on the right wing. O'Reilly to Weah. He scored for them in the Bernabeu earlier in the competition. Timothy Weah. United have won it back. That's good play. Willock onto Gordon, and Barnes with Elanga running through the middle. Barnes has been tripped. Referee reaches into his pocket. He likes a yellow card, Maurizio Mariani. And that was Mason Greenwood who was shown the yellow.
Yeah, they seem to like a card in the Champions League, don't they?
As it stands, they've dropped down to 8th in the Champions League table, having been 4th when they were winning. And the free kick is being delayed because of treatment to a Marseille player.
It's Højbjerg that's down. He's the one getting treatment.
That's why I should have brought binoculars. It's too far away. They're like matchsticks on the pitch out there. From
like being at West Ham, is it? Like being at West Ham, Razor, is it?
Oh, I'm much closer to the pitch than at West Ham, I can assure you. Where you are a mile away from the action. Højbjerg is okay. It's just the stands here are very steep at the Stade Velodrome. He's going to have to come off before going back on. And the free kick, well, it's between 30 and 35 yards from Marseille's goal. The keeper's on the 6-yard line. Tanali behind the free kick, left of centre. They could roll it inside to Hall, but he's got teammates waiting for a delivery, and Tanali curls it in. Marseille win the first header. Barnes takes it out to the right wing, and now looks to deliver a cross. It's a low ball. It's come here to Miley, laid off to Willock. Shot blocked. That was a decent opening for Newcastle, and now a quick ball into the United half, and Marseille go on the attack. There are blue shirts back, but Greenwood, couple of step overs, then a through ball. O'Reilly put behind by Miley. Corner on the near side. Well, they look far more convincing at both ends, Marseille, since the break. The scoreline reflects that, and Newcastle had to get back and defend effectively, which they did, to put it behind for this corner. Emerson again, yellow carded earlier in the half for a challenge on Joe Willock. Floated to the back of the 6-yard box and headed wide. Balerdi, the captain, free header, misses the target. Marseille 2, Newcastle United 1.
It's half a chance, isn't it? As you say, it's a free header, nobody's picked them up. Always stretching for it, to be fair.
They haven't kept the ball very well in the second half. I mean, you would say there was sloppiness in the first half from Newcastle, and there's more going on the bench, and the numbers board is going to be handed to the fourth official. Nick Voltemade is ready to come on. In the meantime, Bruno's won it back for them. We're also going to see Jacob Ramsey. Barnes, 25 yards out on the left, inside to Hall, then back wide to Barnes. Plays it to Bruno, could go square, it does. Miley could have taken the shot on, given it wide to Elanga, then on the outside for Miley's overlapping run. Keeper has claimed the ball properly at the second attempt. Eddie Howe will be hoping the changes that he's about to make will get Newcastle back into this, trailing 2-1 with 20 minutes remaining. That was decent possession on the edge of the Marseille box, but the goalkeeper claimed the cross, Ando.
Yeah, I mean, it was too close to the goalkeeper, wasn't it? Although he did fumble it, got it at the second attempt. Better though. I mean, what you're saying about giving the ball away, we need to be better on the ball, don't we? We need to keep the ball better. It's something that we spoke about all season, to be quite honest, Razor.
That's a nice move there up the left-hand side. Barnes back from the goal line to Hall on the near touch line. It's good play by United. They look for Bruno, but they've lost it. Dan Burn then makes a strong challenge to prevent Greenwood running clear up the right wing. And Ramsey is ready to come on, and Voltemade makes his way to the touchline. Gordon is replaced, and the other man coming off is Willock. So like for like changes there, and Eddie Howe has now made 5 substitutions, with Newcastle having seen their lead disappear in the space of just a few minutes at the start of the second half. In between times they had a goal disallowed for offside. One statistic that may well give you a bit of hope is that Marseille dropped 6 points from winning positions in the Champions League this season. They went 1-0 up against Real Madrid and Sporting Lisbon away from home and lost both matches 2-1. Here Newcastle scored first, but Marseille are in front. Here Anthony Elanga across halfway, injects some speed into their play and gives it to Tanali. Voltemade holds it up in the area, spins, still has it, and then it's taken off him. And Weah, who like Elanga is quick, is going the other way. Oh, Aubameyang goes around a couple of defenders, and Malik Chow, good recovery challenge to concede a corner. They're not out of this, Ando, but there is concern, isn't there, every time Marseille break?
Yeah, an awful lot more so in this half than we've seen in the first half. They've carried more of a threat in the second half of Marseille.
Dan Burn heads the corner away and behind again on the near side, so there'll be another. O'Reilly stands next to Nick Pope in the 6-yard box. There are 4 at the back of the area. And Emerson again onto the head of Dan Burn again, and this header clears the penalty box, comes into midfield. Greenwood, who is one of the players hanging a bit further back, rolls it inside. Marseille with possession on halfway. Newcastle still effectively with a 4-5-1, especially when they are without the ball. But Voltemade on up front, replacing Gordon, who came back in after injury tonight. There's a ball sent up to Aubameyang, he can't hold it. United have got it back. Jacob Ramsey on the turn, but surrounded by white Marseille shirts. Elanga, who's on the left wing at the moment, for Ramsey, edge of the area. Back to Bruno. Voltemade, nice touch, laid off. Tonali blocked. Effort from Sandro Tonali, right side of the penalty area, didn't travel very far. He still got it on the far touchline, and he's been sent tumbling. Igor Paixão with the illegal challenge on Tonali, right on the touchline. Free kick awarded to Newcastle, and that is pretty much level with the penalty box. If they are to get back into this,
silly foul to
just
give
going to
away,
say,
wasn't
Ando,
it? Silly foul
15 minutes to play. They've got to take one of these chances, and they've got the height there with Byrne and Chow and Voltemade on. And the free kick is about to be sent in. Miley's in there as well, playing it right back after being introduced as a second half substitute. Tonali's free kick delivery, flicked across the penalty area, no one can get a touch. Kept in by Jacob Ramsey, but the whistle's gone. And I'm not sure what the referee spotted, but Marseille have 2 players down, and they've been awarded a free kick.
I'm not too sure what the referee's seen there either. There's bodies flying around all over the place in there. How we can decide one way or the other?
Well, their medical team came on, but have gone straight off the pitch because they don't need to give treatment to anybody. So play will restart with the free kick for the foul. The supporters behind the goal to the right are jumping up and down, flying their blue and white Marseille flags. Some of the flags at the top of the stand have orange in them. It's a noisy, vibrant, colourful stadium, especially when Marseille are winning and looking confident. And they have another attack in progress here. Igor Paixão back to Emerson. Højbjerg, diagonal ball. Wear down on his thigh, dispossessed by Lewis Hall. Newcastle got to get bodies up, they've got to get numbers in the attack. It's Hall out to Barnes, who crosses halfway. Hall carries on his forward run. Barnes has found Voltemade, trying to turn and play in Elanga. Anthony Elanga in the penalty area. Elanga hits the side netting, but they get a corner. Saved by the goalkeeper at the near post. He's looking for his first Newcastle United goal. That could have been a great moment for Elanga, but the goalkeeper was equal to the effort. They broke so well, and it was close to the equaliser.
Good save by the keeper. Just got fingertips to it. It's on target.
They have had chances, and this corner is going to be a left-footed delivery from Lewis Hall. They're all round the back, Byrne and Voltemade, and now they make the run near post. The corner was flat, and it's volleyed out for a Newcastle throw. Tonali, who'd gone back to halfway, now has to sprint forwards to take the throw. 78.5 minutes played on BBC Radio Newcastle. They've all stayed up there. Lewis Hall's gone back. Throw taken to Elanga. Back to Tonali. Bruno drops his shoulder, gets away. He's carrying it. Lifts in a cross. Malik Chow heads down. There's an effort into the ground and up into the hands of the keeper. Dan Byrne in the box. Off his left boot. But it lacked the power that was necessary. And Marseille remain 2-1 in front.
You're going to get more chances in this game. It's all about being able to take them. You don't want to fall into Dan Byrne in that position there like that day on the volley.
You want Voltemada there, don't you? Really? We are not missing any action because the ball was put out. Marseille with Benjamin Pavard had a problem. Lewis Hall to respectful and appreciative applause. Stade Velodrome throw it back to the goalkeeper Geronimo Rulli. Marseille still have to go to Union Saint-Gilloise, where Newcastle won last month. They've got Liverpool coming here and then Club Brugge away. Another trip to Belgium in their remaining matches. Here's Bruno over the head of defender Emerson, and Rulli comes out of his box. Elanga was the player they were trying to get in, and that was a dangerous ball from Bruno. Then Tonali pushes one into the area. Elanga has pulled back. And a free kick for the foul on Emerson in the penalty box. Another Marseille player down, Timothy Weah, now into the final 10 minutes. How do Newcastle find a second goal, John Anderson, and level this one up?
I think they'll get one more clear chance, Razor, the way this game has gone, especially the way that Marseille have defended. Marseille haven't been great defensively. They've left gaps. They've gave us opportunities. It's all about taking them. I think we'll get one more, at least one more.
Newcastle without the ball, and Marseille are heading towards the United goal before Jacob Ramsey intercepts. Barnes tries to get away from his man. There was possibly a foul. Referee let play go on a couple of seconds and then brings it back for a free kick just behind halfway, left of centre. I think Marseille felt that it had gone on long enough when it ran for Jacob Ramsey, but it is United free kick. Dan Burn square to Malik Chow. Miley inside to Bruno, and Burn again behind the halfway line. And it's going sideways. They're now looking to go forwards. Hall onto Barnes, up the line, but out. Got a touch off a white shirt. It's Newcastle throw on the near side, the left wing. Ramsey with it. Decides to leave it for Hall. Back to Burn. And they go inside to Chow. Middle of the centre circle. Wide right with that pass to Elanga. Back to Elanga from Tonali, and then it's with Tonali again on the right wing. Miley to Bruno. Bruno's ball back to Miley is intercepted. And Malik Chow steps in to make a clean challenge. Referee signals that he got the ball. To be fair, Marseille supporters are appealing, but the players aren't. Jacob Ramsey, promising run, stopped by a foul at the edge of the area. The Marseille fans are on their feet to complain. And is that another yellow card? Yes, it is. Arta Vermeeren, the latest player to go in the referee's notebook. Ramsey, so positive, winning the free kick, and it's 5 yards from the edge of the area, left of centre. It's wide of the posts. I don't know if this is an angle that gives them a chance to go for goal.
A right footer. Most definitely favours a right footer, Razor. Whip it over that wall.
2-1 down after leading at half-time. Newcastle. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with a double for Marseille. 46th and 50th minutes. Sandro Tonali and Lewis Hall next to the free kick. Elanga just inside. 4 Marseille players in the wall. Maybe Tonali will just hit it, or Hall could come and whip it in. Tonali over the top. wasn't even towards the corner either. Looked like it was centre of the goal, but way too high.
Yeah, it wasn't his best, was it? Definitely wasn't his best.
Wasted.
It was still rising, wasn't it? It wasn't coming down at all.
They've had the opportunities. The disallowed Barnes goal for offside was when it was 1-1, but since Marseille went 2-1 up, that free kick, the Elanga effort, well saved. Miley chests the ball back towards the box. Nick Pope rather hurriedly clears deep into the Marseille half. They have a player down. Newcastle through Bruno tried to get it in behind. It's cleared. Bruno back to Chow, then Dan Burn. Inside to Chow, up towards Tenali, holds off his man, turns his man. Voltemada carries the ball. Ramsey, left side. Harvey Barnes onto Lewis Hall. Hall's cross is blocked. It's come for Harvey Barnes. He's curled it wide. It's another big chance. Barnes there. The Tenali free kick. Elanga saved. Willock saved. They've had their opportunities, but they haven't taken them in the second half. And with 4 minutes to play, Marseille still lead by 2 goals to 1.
They're looking really nervy, Marseille. They're giving the ball away, not keeping it. He's trying to whip that, hasn't he? He's trying to whip it past the goalkeeper.
This is a match that could be about 7-7. It's one that has seen so many big chances at both ends. In each half, Newcastle United continue to push for a late leveller. And if they were to equalise, with Ando pointing out the Marseille unease at the back, you never know. Miley gets it back from Tanali on the right wing, finding Bruno inside. He gets away from his man, rolls it to Elanga, bit of space, through for Miley, tries to cut it back, it's headed behind, but was it out? Yes, it was, when Miley lifted it into the middle. The assistant flags, and Marseille get a goal kick. Psychologically, a win for them would be huge given their record, and then they'd only be 3 points behind Newcastle. Things would get a bit tighter in the Champions League table. It looked really good with 3 wins from 4, but 3 wins from 5, not quite so good.
I'm not too sure that was out either, Razor, by the way.
Well, the flag came up very quickly. So, I mean, even if they'd scored, I don't know what VAR would have done if the match had stopped before somebody had put it in. In the meantime, Marseille take off Mason Greenwood and Angel Gomez, who won 4 caps for England last year when Lee Carsley was in interim charge of the national team. The midfielder comes on. Very
Can I
different
tell
type
you,
of
Razor,
player.
that Leverkusen have won at Manchester City by 2 goals to 0.
So Newcastle's next opponents have just recorded a huge victory over one of the favourites.
And Chelsea are
one of the favourites every year.
Chelsea are 3 up against Barcelona.
Marseille back to the goalkeeper. Newcastle 2-1 down. Geronimo Rulli slips as he rolls the ball to the right hand side, up the line from where? Newcastle throw. to 11 local time in the south of France, and only a couple of minutes of normal time in the match remaining. Elanga on the outside, deep cross, dangerous cross, touched away by Weah as far as Hall. Ramsey on the edge of the penalty area. Inside, Miley could have had the shot, took a touch and then lifted it into the box on the far side towards Elanga, where it's headed away and up the line by Marseille, but out for a Newcastle throw. Miley did have space and time, maybe could have brought it in towards goal. They still have it, United. Bruno to Ramsey, who's had some good moments since coming on. Voltemada, look for Barnes, but it's intercepted at the edge of the area. And it's come out on the near side. Ramsey sees it out. He took a bit of a whack from Weah in the act of shielding the ball, but he's got back up and with a bit of a limp makes his way into the centre. Going to get the numbers board any second. Marseille 2, Newcastle United 1. Miley to Elanga. Look for Bruno, it's diverted away. And there will be a minimum of 5 additional minutes. Ball for Barnes, who's won a throw on the near side, just ahead of the halfway line. 1-0 up at the break, 2-1 down by the 50th minute.
Referee's given the throw the other way, right?
He's just seeing, yes, he's overruled his assistant.
He's done that a couple of times tonight.
Yeah, once on the far side, now on the near side. Marseille have another substitute ready, so there'll be a further delay. They also have a player with cramp. Aubameyang, and at 36 put in a big shift and delivered for them 2 huge moments, 2 goal scoring moments. And he leaves the pitch. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to a standing ovation. And his replacement is the 18-year-old forward Robinho Vaz, who's got 4 goals in the French league this season. The ball goes back to Nick Pope, who almost had 2 minutes. There were 5 shown on the numbers board, but that substitution's taken more than 60 seconds. The Italian referee Maurizio Mariani will, from the Newcastle perspective, hopefully add on a little bit more time as they chase a very late equaliser. Burn back to Bruno, intercepted by Balerdi, who stepped out of central defence. Elanga's won it back. He's done well since coming on, Anthony Elanga, in moments, and he's regained possession for his team near to the halfway line. Bruno across to Burn. Ramsey tripped Bemirin. He's one of the players on a yellow card, but that one is free kick only. Ramsey leaves it for Hall. Chow and Byrne make their way forwards. BBC Radio Newcastle, Champions League. Marseille 2, Newcastle 1. Hall's free kick, far side of the area. Chow heads across. Voltemada tried to get on the end of it, but missed it. Dropped over his head, and Geronimo Rulli gathers 6 yards out. Thought it was just going to drop there for Voltemada. He got a bit of a push from, was it Pavard, who had hands on the back of his shirt, and it was just enough pressure to allow the goalkeeper to come and gather. Miley, good ball for Tanali, but his pass is intercepted. It's out off Bruno for a Marseille throw. It's 30 yards from Nick Pope's goal. We've played nearly 4 minutes of the 5. Lewis Hall wins it back. Dan Burn clears. Header there from Ramsey, Weir on his chest. Barnes gets back to try to win it for United. That looked like a miss kick from the defender. If it was a dummy, it was well executed. Marseille now for Vaz, the substitute. Could wrap it up here. It's a comfortable save for Nick Pope from the shot from the right side of the penalty area. 30 seconds of the 5 minutes remaining. Elanga, foul. Referee lets it run. Elanga's got back up. He's come on with good attacking intent tonight. Plays in Tenali. The cross is blocked. And Marseille can bring it forwards. Newcastle have to go for it. They've got it back now through Miley. Referee with 5 minutes played. The additional time is up. But there was the slow substitution. So we should have at least another minute. But the Marseille fans, they're all on their feet. They want the final whistle. Newcastle free kick in midfield. Bruno fouled. Nick Pope's going to take it and send it forwards. Højbjerg with the challenge. It's 2-1 to Marseille. Newcastle were 1-0 up at half-time. They've had big chances in the second half. Pope's free kick is headed away by the front defender. Miley back to the goalkeeper in front of the penalty box. We continue to play. They look for Byrne. Headed up. Ramsey. Cleared. That's it. Defeat in the south of France despite leading at half-time. Marseille have won it by 2-1. 21 years ago in the UEFA Cup semi-final, it was Didier Drogba's night. This evening it was all about another great centre-forward for Marseille, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 2 goals early in the second half, 30 seconds after the restart. When he went around Nick Pope, he came a long way out and steered the ball in from a wide area, and the second turning in a cross at the near post. A fast turnaround after the interval. Newcastle, who had a goal disallowed for offside when it was 1-1, with other opportunities, forcing saves from the goalkeeper Rouley, getting into some good positions but not quite making the most of them. Couldn't find an equaliser, and their Champions League campaign still looks okay. 3 wins out of 5, but 4 wins out of 5 would have had them almost into the knockout round. So there is still a lot of work to be done to progress on from the league phase. Marseille have won at the Stade Velodrome by 2-1. John Anderson, and those crucial goals inside the first 5 minutes of the second half were Newcastle United's undoing tonight.
Yeah, crazy start to the second half. Still can't work out what Nick Pope's doing coming that distance out of his penalty area. Saying that, it was still a good finish by Aubameyang. He still had a lot of work to do, and he curled it, great curl on it. And then a couple of minutes later, another great finish, great ball whipped in near post, and he's finished the top corner. Not a great deal that Pope could do about that. Look, I think the performance was decent, Rays, I really do. I thought first half we were in control. I thought Marseille were very open defensively. I thought they'd give you opportunities. We had opportunities second half, but at this level it's all about taking those opportunities when they come along, and unfortunately tonight we weren't able to do that, and the mistakes that we made, we ended up getting punished for them.
Well, they started without recognised centre forward Anthony Gordon, as he's done many times for Newcastle, and often scored goals in that position. Started through the middle. He had a chance in the first half saved. He had another one where the ball was whipped across goal, and neither he nor the goalkeeper could get a touch on it. Nick Voltemada came on, didn't have an effort or an attempt himself. What you would have loved to have seen was Johan Wissel out there, but we don't know when he's going to be back. Eddie Howe made 5 changes in the second half. They were positive changes, dispensing with the back 5, a midfielder at right back, bringing on Elanga, who had some good moments, but again it was about the finishing more than anything else, wasn't it? And they just didn't take those chances.
And what it was about as well, keeping the ball at crucial times in that second half. You know, we didn't do that. We didn't take the sting out of it. Something that we've spoke about all season. You know, it's not our strength keeping the ball. We move the ball quickly in the offensive area of the pitch, but you need to keep the ball. European football is all about keeping the ball, and we don't keep the ball well enough, and we didn't keep the ball well enough tonight. Did we deserve more out of the game? Probably, but as I say, it's all about taking those chances when they came along, and we had chances. You know, there's no doubt about it. We had chances to get something out of the game, but unfortunately we weren't able to take them.
Down to 8th in the Champions League table. I mean, that's not really something to complain about, is it? They were 6th at the start of the night, but up to 4th when they were winning. There are more European matches tomorrow, so the table is likely to change again, and Newcastle will probably drop at least a couple more places. 9 points from 5 matches, 3 to go. Bayer Leverkusen away 2 weeks tomorrow. Then they've got PSV Eindhoven and Paris Saint-Germain. The PSV matches at St James's. PSG is in Paris. They are at the end of January, a week apart. Still in a strong position to at least reach the knockout phase playoff round, even if not the top 8 finish that would take them straight into the last 16. But that's still very much within their reach as well, despite the defeat tonight.
Yeah, look, it was always going to be difficult going over there. You know, you've got to put it into perspective, Razy. You know, it's all about really winning your home games. We've managed to win 2 of the 3 home games. We won in Belgium and won convincingly in Belgium. You know, and Union won again tonight, so you can't underestimate that victory. But tonight was always going to be difficult. Going to Leverkusen's not going to be easy either, you know, especially what they've done tonight. They've come to Manchester City and won 2-0, so they'll fancy their chances as well. So look, there's still plenty of football to be played. We've got PSV at home, which could be an absolutely huge game for us.
We'll get some reaction from Newcastle United boss Eddie Howe, and search on BBC Sounds for Total Sport Newcastle United podcast, or follow us on X at BBC Newcastle to hear what the manager has to say about tonight's Champions League match. And Total Sport will be back on BBC Radio Newcastle tomorrow night between 6 and 8 for some more considered discussion and analysis of this Champions League fixture. The Marseille players celebrates at the goal to the left-hand side, having done similar at the end away to the right. Newcastle players have long since gone in, but they went to the away fans in the corner to the left and applauded them. They're going to be held back and then led back into the city centre by French police under escort, with again safety being their primary concern. A lot of security around this trip to Marseille generally, and to and from the stadium. On the pitch, it was going well enough for 45 minutes. Harvey Barnes in the 6th minute gave Newcastle an early lead, one they could have extended. But 30 seconds into the second half, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang equalised, and he got his second goal 4 minutes later. And Newcastle had some good chances to equalise, but they couldn't take them. And it's finished here at the Stade Velodrome in the south of France. Olympique de Marseille 2, Newcastle United 1.
3 wins and 2 defeats then from the first 5 games in this season's Champions League for Newcastle United. A 2-1 defeat. At Marseille this evening, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with 2 in the first 5 minutes of the second half, doing essentially what Didier Drogba did to Newcastle United 21 years ago in the same stadium. Plenty of time, still a good 20 minutes at least for you to come on and have a chat with Ando. Dissect the game as you wish. 0800 234 6565, the number for you to call. If you can't call us and you need to message us instead, we welcome those in 2 different ways. WhatsApp messages on 08000 321 333 or text messages just on 81333. In either case, start them all with the letters BBC. There is a fair bit of criticism coming Nick Pope's way as well. I will put that to John Anderson in a few minutes' time. Elsewhere in the Champions League tonight, the 2 early games saw Benfica win 2-0 at Ajax and Union Saint-Gilloise win 1-0 away at Galatasaray. In the 8 o'clock games then, Juventus came from behind twice to beat Bodo Glimt 3-2. Jonathan David in the 91st minute with their winner. Borussia Dortmund, on the other hand, were never in trouble. 4-0 winners over Villarreal tonight. A couple for Guirassy, Adeyemi and then Svensson in the 95th minute, making absolutely sure. Another team that was never in trouble, Chelsea. 3-0 winners over Barcelona at Stamford Bridge tonight. Helped by Barcelona having Araujo sent off just before half-time. Chelsea already 1-0 up at that point, a Jules Koundé own goal, and then Esteval and Liam Delap in the second half. So Chelsea 3, Barcelona 0. It was mentioned in commentary as well, Bayer Leverkusen winning 2-0 away at Manchester City. Alejandro Grimaldo in the first half, Patrick Schick in the second. Napoli beat Karabag by 2-0. Scott McTominay and a Jankovic own goal. And the final game in the Champions League tonight, Slavia Prague and Athletic Bilbao finished 0-0. Lots of games in the Champions League tomorrow night as well. In the Championship, back in England tonight, Ipswich have won 2-0 away at Hull City. Nunez and Akpom in the space of 4 minutes in the second half. But the big game was at the Riverside. Middlesbrough against Coventry City. Coventry were 2-0 up inside 15 minutes through Ellis Sims and Liam Kitching. Middlesbrough brought it back to 2-2 by the time they were 4 minutes into the second half. But then those same 2 Coventry players scored within 60 seconds of each other in the final 5 minutes. Ellis Sims after Liam Kitching. So it finished Middlesbrough 2, Coventry City 4. Norwich 1, Oxford United 1 only because Oxford equalised in the 95th minute through Krastev. Stoke City beat Charlton 3-0. That was the half-time score as well. They were 2-0 up inside 5 minutes in that one, Stoke. Swansea 1, Derby County 2. Swansea's goal was an consolation, through Ethan Galbraith in the 90th minute. Watford 1, Preston 1. That was the half-time score as well. And actually the same goes for Southampton's 3-0 win over Leicester. They were 3-0 up by half-time. Leicester having had a man sent off by half-time as well. A couple of games in League One. Luton beating Huddersfield 2-1 and Stevenage winning 1-0 away at Peterborough United. In the National League North tonight, South Shields winning again 3-0 away at Worksop Town. Lamar Gordon, just before half-time on his debut, and then Will Jenkins with 2 and 5 minutes at the start of the second half. They remain top of the table with that victory, and that is just as well that they did win, because Fylde, who are hot on their heels still, 5-1 winners over Macclesfield tonight. Macclesfield's goal scored by Danny Elliott, former Gateshead striker. And it was a good night as well, non-league-wise, for Hebburn and for Dunstan in the end. Not a bad draw either, by the way, for Consett, 0-0 away at Bradford Park Avenue in the East Division. Dunstan winning 3-2 at Silsden, having been 2-0 down. Josh Donaldson and Michael Pearson got them back in it, and then Donaldson scored a penalty in the 95th minute. So Silsden 2, Dunstan 3. Bit more comfortable for Hebburn, who have now scored 21 goals in the last 5 games, because they won 4-1 away at Gainsborough tonight. They were 2-0 up inside 13 minutes. Jack Donaghy and Ethan Wood. Liam Murray made it 3-1 just before half-time, and then a fourth in the second half meant it finished 4-1 to Hebburn. It was Gaz Martin who got their 4th goal with about 20 minutes to go. But we are going to spend the next 20 minutes talking about Newcastle United's defeat at Marseille, and we will talk in just a moment to a couple of Newcastle United supporters. Let's read some of these messages out though. John Anderson back with us in the studio, and Ando, there is quite a bit of criticism coming Nick Pope's way. I will synthesise and summarise some of this rather than read every single one out, but Brian says Roederluck in the first half blew it in the second half, and you can't expect to make a mistake like Nick Pope's in Europe and get away with it. Qualification is in jeopardy. Our away form simply not good enough this season, says Brian. But his point about Nick Pope and that mistake is echoed by a few. Gary and Seaton Burns a bit stronger. He says Nick Pope should be ashamed. That was a shocking decision. He's been described as a disgrace by a couple of other text messages as well. Yes, it's a mistake. Yes, it's cost Newcastle a goal. Has it cost Newcastle the game?
Straight after half-time, it's not a mistake you expect to see. Look, he's made a couple of decent saves during the game, there's no doubt about that, but for the life of me, I'm not too sure what he's doing coming into that position. You know, there's plenty of blue shirts around Aubameyang to be able to deal with that. If he stays in his penalty area, stays on his goal line, Aubameyang's still got an awful lot of work to do. But he decided to come, and once he came, he's in no man's land. You know, there's absolutely nothing he can do. And once Aubameyang knocks the ball around him, you can see on his face, he knows he's made the wrong decision. He knows he's got it all wrong. Good finish by Aubameyang, to be fair, but what Nick Pope's coming into that area, I do not know.
Quite a bit of criticism coming his way. A couple of others. Pope cost us again, says Mark. It's time he was taken out the team. Even Chow was waving him back, and he was, as the ball was played through and Malik Chow realised how far out of his goal that Nick Pope has come. Malik Chow's waving him back again, obviously far too late at that point. But Mark says, conceding so soon after the breakthrough is off, put Marseille's tails up. But Mark says, Bruno, Gordon, Schär were all poor. How poor? You've said that you said to Razor at the end of that you thought Newcastle probably did deserve something else out of it.
I thought we had enough to get something out of it. Look, Marseille weren't great. You know, let's be perfectly honest about it. They weren't great. They looked really shaky defensively, especially in that first half. You know, they were all over the place at times. And even in the second half, the longer the game went on, they started to sit deeper and deeper, invite pressure on them. They got really, really nervy. Unfortunately, we couldn't take advantage of it. But it's small margins in these European games. You know, the mistake that was made. To be fair, the second goal he scored is a good finish. You know, it's a good centre forwards finish. He's got a cross share, and he's finished it high into the net. Great ball whipped in near post. No blame on anybody, to be fair. But you know, the goal right at the start of the second half got Marseille's tails up a little bit. They had a bit more life about them, to be fair, a bit more pace about them, because the way they played in the first half was really slow and methodical, and it was quite easy for us to defend against because they didn't play with any pace, and it was all about possession-based football, and never really caused us too many problems in that first half, I didn't think.
Yeah.
But look, as I say, at this level of football, it's all about fine margins.
It is indeed. 0800 234 6565, the number to call. That's what John's done. Let's have a chat to you. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Colin. Good evening, Ando. How are you both doing?
Hey, John.
Is everything that you've heard us talk about an overreaction, or was it? What was the performance like for you?
A bit mixed, to be honest with you, Colin, because I think if Nick Pope does that one mistake tonight and he hasn't done any previous mistakes, he could slightly be forgiven. I think the problem where the fans are coming from here, Ando, this isn't the first mistake Nick Pope's done away from home. And the problem is as well, in those games, we've been 1-0 up, he's done a mistake, and it's led to us getting beat. I think this is where the fans are coming from, and I think this is why there needs to be a call now for Ramsdale to come in.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does at Everton on Saturday evening. You know, a lot of the fans are split on Nick Pope. A lot of it is down to his kicking. You know,
could I just ask you though, Ando, since he's had his serious injury last year, do you think he's been the same keeper?
I don't think his overall performances this season have been that bad, to be quite honest. You know, listening to some people, they sound like he's been horrendous in every game, and he hasn't. You know, some of the saves that he's made and kept us in games this season have been huge. Yes, I understand the views of supporters that he's not great on the ball and he doesn't look comfortable when it gets knocked back to him. I totally get all that, but I just think, you know, that mistake tonight could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, to be fair. It does, because I think the manager's been loyal to him, the same way he's been loyal to a lot of players. Now, I think that loyalty is going to be really tested now. I think there's going to be a lot of soul searching in the next few days before we go to Everton to see if he sticks with Nick Pope or whether he decides to bring Ramsdale in.
I think at the other end of the pitch as well, Andor, what I was really disappointed about was Anthony Gordon. I appreciate in some ways he's trying to save Nick Voldemar because we've got a lot of games up. But I think it's been proven time and time again that Gordon down the middle, it just doesn't work. And how he lasted 73 minutes tonight, I was really disappointed in how in that.
Yeah, look, it's a strange position for him to play in. He's not. He runs around, he chases, he puts defenders under pressure, he puts goalkeepers under pressure, but he's not an out-and-out centre forward. And I think it got to the stage tonight where needs must, to be quite honest, John. Voldemar has played an awful lot of football. They obviously want to protect him, and rightly so. He's come into a strange league that's an awful lot more physical, an awful lot more quicker than the Bundesliga, and he's done brilliantly. Nobody could argue the fact that he's done brilliantly and he scored goals, but somewhere along the line he needed a rest, and they decided that tonight was the night to give him a rest. So who do you play? That was the big question. Who do you play through the middle? He's played Gordon there before, and he's obviously felt that Gordon did okay in that position in those previous games. Excuse me. And he thought he'd give it another go tonight, but he never really got involved in the game, to be quite honest. So I think, as I say, I don't think he had any other option other than to play Gordon through the middle.
John, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to move on. Thank you very much for talking to us this evening.
No.
Cheers, John.
Always appreciated. That number 0800 234 6565. If we can't squeeze you in tonight, plenty time, of course, on Total Sport tomorrow from 6 o'clock. 08000 321 333 is the WhatsApp number. 81333 is the text number. Start them all with the letters BBC. I was going to try and find a message that didn't mention Nick Pope. There is one here from Mark, who is a regular contributor to the show, a Jarrah lad, but now living in Arlington, Virginia. It's a slightly more palatable time, I suppose, for you to be listening tonight. We've certainly become experts at throwing away a lead away from home, says Mark. We could have been 2 or 3 up at half-time, really disappointed. And Everton will be an even tougher opponent this weekend. And William in Washington pointing out as well, as a couple of people I think have already kind of suggested, we've blown a 1-0 lead in the last 3 away games now, including tonight. William says it wasn't a bad performance, but that 5 minutes at the start of the second half was shocking, has cost us the match, and our next 2 away games look very difficult. Bayer Leverkusen, who've just won at Manchester City after Everton as well. Very disappointed that we haven't turned the corner. That's a valid kind of statisticky bit, isn't it? That they've gone 1-0 up in each of the last 3 games and lost all 3.
Yeah. Both Brentford and West Ham went 1-0 up, and you think that gives you the momentum to go on to win games, but unfortunately, especially away from home, that hasn't been the case. At 1-0 tonight, I thought we were comfortable. I did. And you always felt that Marseille would give you other opportunities, but then, as one of the texters just said there, Colin, that 5 minutes at the start of the second half just killed us. Yeah. You can't legislate for the first goal. You really can't. The second one's a decent enough finish, but that's the nature of this competition.
A couple more messages and then we'll talk to Dave, who's on the line as well. I'm going to have to mention the ones that mention Nick Pope because there's so many of them. Dean says it's every game with Pope now. Get him out of the team. Why are Newcastle so bad at applying pressure? So, there's 2 different points. I'll read one more about that's also come from Dean. It says Pope's mistakes let both West Ham and Brentford back in. It's every week with him, and it's not just his kicking, because I know you said that was the thing that quite a few people have criticised him for an awful long time now. But Dean's other point about why are Newcastle so bad at applying pressure, it's one thing that Newcastle in the last sort of 18 months have done overall extremely well.
I was going to say, I think they've been very good at applying pressure when they play at that high intensity, high tempo. high physicality. We haven't been able to do that this season, and I put it down to the amount of games that we've got. Having to play 3 games a week takes it out of you physically. So you've got to taper your game. And that's the reason why I would expect.
Keep your messages coming in as well. Still got time for them. Ando's voice is going to hold out for the next 8.5 minutes, I promise you. 08000 321 treble 3 for your... Stephen in Witton Gilbert just sent us a message that says, why doesn't Eddie Howe have a dog?
What?
Why doesn't Eddie Howe have a dog? Because he doesn't know how to hang on to a lead. Thank you, Stephen. That's very that's quite witty actually at this time of night. I appreciate that. 08000 321 treble 3 for your WhatsApp messages. 81333 for your text messages. But we'd like to hear your voice. Let's have a chat to Dave, Newcastle fan, of course. Good evening, Dave.
Hello, Cole. Hello, John. How we doing, lads?
Hello, Dave.
Do you want to get something out of your system about Nick Pope as well?
Yeah, well, I've got 2 points, Cole. One is the obvious one. I mean, Nick Pope, it's another mistake, but, John's right, he does make some good saves. I've said this for a long time now, I just think we need an upgrade. You can drop him, you can keep him in, do what you want. It's just the same thing every time. It's poor kicking, it's a great save, and then it's something like what's happened tonight. So, I mean, people are saying, let's drop him. Well, I'm sorry, but Ramsdale does exactly the same. I just think we need to be in the market for a keeper. So, I mean, that debate's probably already gone. The other one I've got is something that I think people don't pick up on enough, and it's something John gets quite a bit of stick for, even though he doesn't say much about it. It's Bruno. He just loses possession. He doesn't really give us any protection. He doesn't give us enough going forward. And look, people are going to hate this. And next time on Fans Forum, I'll probably get some pelters. But I think we need more. And I think we need more goals from him. And I think we'll need more leadership on the pitch. I mean, people keep going on, he's a great player and all this. Have a look behind. How many clubs do you see after him? Because I don't see any. And I think he's a good player, but I think he's holding us back. Now, people can debate Nick Pope and the goalkeepers all they want, but I think there's other issues in the pitch that for players who people put there at number one as they're our key players, I don't think they're doing enough this season. Some people aren't going to like that, but, let's see what happens.
On Bruno specifically then, Ando, first of all.
Yeah, look at it. He's a good player. Don't get us wrong, he's a very, very good player. But he does get his pocket pinched and he does give it away. And in games like tonight, I was saying to Razor and comment, we need to keep the ball better. Now, he is the one you want to get on the ball, and he is the one you want the game to go through and keep the ball. But at times, he's the main culprit of giving the ball away. Now, that's just a fact. People watch the game, they can see that he gives the ball away. Now, that's not saying that he's not a good player. It's just that at times he does give the ball away when we need to be able to control the game and keep hold of the ball. And he's not on his own.
Contribute either.
But he's not on his own there, Dave, to be quite honest.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Because as a team, we don't keep the ball well enough. And I think in these European competitions, when you need to take the sting out of the game, you need to be able to keep the ball and work the opposition a bit more. And we don't seem to be able to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think Eddie got a little bit of stick for his choices, keeping Livramento in tonight. Could go either way. I think for me, the big game's massive game, bigger than tonight, is Everton. Our league form needs to improve, especially away. So I would have took a defeat tonight just to be fresher for Saturday, to be honest, because I don't think we've got the squad to deal with these competitions.
Look, it was always going to catch up with us. These extra games were always going to catch up with us. I always felt that this was going to be a tough old season for us because of the amount of games that we've had. Now, he's going to have to rotate. He's going to have to give people game time, throw people in and say, because up to the middle of January, we're going to have 3 games a week. But
he's not though, because he's kept Miley on the bench again, John. He's just not getting any game time.
Well, kept Ramsey on the bench again tonight as well.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. And Alanga, who's never getting a break, you know.
Yeah. So, but these players somewhere along the line are going to have to start games.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is because of the amount of games that we've got. He's going to have to rotate it a little bit more.
Dave, running rapidly out of time. Thank you for
Dave,
talking to us this evening. Always appreciated. That number again, not time for you tonight, but definitely time for you tomorrow. 0800 234 6565. Couple more messages for you, Andy, and then I promise you're allowed to stop talking. Save your voice for tomorrow night's Total Sport, funnily enough. This one doesn't have a name on it. It says people go on about Pope's shot stopping as if Ramsdale can't save it. I'm not sure. But Pope's kicking is so bad he couldn't even make the crowded area with a last-minute free kick. That was a disappointing delivery as well. And Burn should never start at left-back again. This one says, doesn't have a name on it. That was one of the debates, I guess, beforehand, was how Dan Burn would cope with being a left-back again. How did he cope with being a left-back again?
Well, he didn't start at left-back, did he? Because we played with three at the back and Livramento played as a left wing-back. Yeah. So that text is,
yes,
you know, it's pointless really, because Dan Burn started as a left-sided centre-back with Livramento as a left wing-back.
Yeah, all right then. I'll read this one from Matty in Ashington. The away form is massively worrying. We can't do simple passes. Why did we wait 70 minutes to bring on a striker when we were losing?
Well, he still had 20 minutes. There was still 20 to 25 minutes, you know. So you've got to decide when to. So some managers make all these substitutions on the hour mark. Some leave it a little bit longer. Voldemar has played an awful lot of football, you know, since coming here. Not only has he played here, but he's gone away. He started every game for Germany as well. So he's obviously trying to protect them.
Let's protect your voice now.
Thank you.
John Anderson, thank you very much indeed from the Newcastle United fullback. The cough to finish, that's the finale. Ando, all being well, we'll be back on Total Sport at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. But thank you for all your texts and WhatsApp messages as well. We will go through as many as we can of the ones that I didn't read tonight on tomorrow night's Total Sport as well. We've only got about 60 seconds left, not even. I'll tell you the other Champions League results tonight then. Benfica won 2-0 at Ajax. Galatasaray beaten at home by Union Saint-Gilloise. Juventus won 3-2 at Bodø Glimt. Borussia Dortmund 4-0 winners over Villarreal. Chelsea 3-0 winners at home to Barcelona. Barcelona playing the entire second half with 10 men. Manchester City beaten 2-0 at home by Bayer Leverkusen. The last couple of games, Napoli beat Karabag by 2-0, including one for Scott McTominay. And Slavia Prague and Athletic Bilbao finished 0-0. We will be back. By we, I mean myself, John Anderson and Marco Gabbiadini for Total Sport at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Total Sport North East.
Newcastle United back in the Champions League. BBC Radio Newcastle.
Corner of the penalty area. Murphy went beyond. Willock didn't play the cross, then slips it in for Tonali. No offside. Looking for Gordon, and Harvey Barnes has scored again. Harvey Barnes' run of goals continues, and Newcastle take the lead in the south of France. The city of Marseille, and a ball forward up the right wing, and Nick Pope's left his goal, and Marseille have equalised inside 30 seconds of the second half. Weah on the outside of Livramento, and at the near post, the cross is converted, and Marseille inside 5 minutes at the start of the second half to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang again. Tipped this match on its head.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
With Becky Want.
Lots of newcomers right now the football's finished. Always remember, if the football isn't for you, you turn on at 10 o'clock and you've got football and you'd rather listen to The Late Show. You can always listen on BBC Sound. You can just put The Late Show into Google and you can press listen live. And I'm here from 10 o'clock. Well, unless I'm having a long weekend in Spain, in which case I might not be here. But generally speaking, I am here from 10 o'clock. If you would like a mention, 08000 08000 321 333. Kath said to me, did you have to pay any excess baggage? Before I went, I said, for the very first time in my life, I was travelling light. I was just going with hand luggage. I have never done it before. And it was a revelation. I did actually take too many tops. I didn't wear everything that I took, but I still didn't have enough choice. And I did look like a sumo wrestler when I was walking through the airport. And actually, on the way home, I was stopped at check-in, and the woman said to me, why have you got 2 handbags? And I said, quick as a flash, I said, one is mine and one is my husband's. And she accepted that and let me through. This is Jimmy Cliff.